there perfectly.
Well, you couldn't ask a quarterback to throw the football much sharper than Joe Paopao has in this opening series.
Well, he's done a good job of mixing his plays up. One running play. He looks very sharp.
Ottawa doesn't look like a team that's lost 7 games in a row and is sitting at 2-8. Not yet, anyway. Sean Faulkner on first down carrying. There's a flag on the play as Faulkner gets a yard, maybe 2, close to the 1 of Calgary. Ken Lazarick, the head referee, will fill us in on what the call is.
Offside, Calgary line.
Stampeders are called offside, and he said Calgary line. I would assume that they lined up offside. Either that or they couldn't designate the individual, whatever. They'll move the football down to the 1.5-yard line of Calgary. It'll be first down over. Goal to go for Ottawa as Fred Glick, who has been under some pressure during this past week in Ottawa, looks on.
Ottawa come out in that short yardage formation with Larry Moore, Jim Reed, and Faulkner in the backfield. They've been very successful with it this year.
Faulkner carrying on first down. He's stopped at the 1-yard line. Stampeders stepping up near their goal line, and they don't let Faulkner in.
Well, Bernie Morrison, middle linebacker, the veteran on that defense, has to be able to read and keep people off him. He slides along with the other defensive backs coming up and close. They just do a good job of meeting the power of the offense, closing it down, not letting them get pushed back into the end zone.
Somebody hit Faulkner low. Gene Beliveau had him high. Morrison in there. So it's 2nd and goal. Ottawa, Calgary 1. Early in the game, and Ottawa's had a very impressive game-opening drive. Paopao keeping flags down. No signal for a score, so Paopao didn't get in. And somebody moved prematurely.
Offside, Calgary 37.
Matt Finlay, a linebacker for the Stampeders, is called for offside.
Everyone's a little antsy. Left side of the screen, right on the top there. Finley takes 1 step forward into that neutral area.
And that's going to give Ottawa another first down, so they'll get 3 more cracks from the Calgary 1. Seems like they've been down there for a long time now. Joe Paopao leads them out. Ottawa's used up over 5.5 minutes in this drive. Faulkner diving in for the touchdown, but there are flags. Touchdown is signaled, but again, we have more penalty flags. Faulkner clapping his hands, suggesting it's against Calgary. Lamont Jeffers talking to Lazarick.
Offside, Calgary, decline, touchdown.
The Ottawa touchdown will stand. The Calgary Stampeders offside 3 times down near that goal line.
Well, that's something they're going to have to correct. They can't continue to come offside. Just almost a power lead to the left side. Faulkner chooses to go through the air this time. Reed and Moore lead him into the end zone. It's a good start for their offense.
Couldn't be any better. That's Sean Faulkner's first touchdown of the season. Dean Dorsey to attempt the convert, with Ken Clark holding, and Dorsey makes it good. So the Ottawa Rough Riders attempting to stop a losing streak that's reached 7 games. Score first at McMahon Stadium.
Ottawa 7, Calgary no score. Want to go to
how they can improve, and it's tough to improve. 11 plays, 67 yards, ate up 5 minutes and 23 seconds on the clock.
5.5 minutes nearly with the football from the opening kickoff. And here's a good return for the Stampeders. Hopkins is out near center field. So Calgary gets exactly the kind of lift they would look for after having the football taken to them for almost 5.5 minutes after the opening kickoff.
Well, this is nothing fancy. Just go with your power. You've got your fullbacks leading. Faulkner chooses to go over top. Again, a good surge by the offensive line.
That was a 39-yard kickoff return by Hopkins. Rick Johnson at quarterback for Calgary. We looked at his numbers against the Blue Bombers last Sunday when Calgary lost by 40-5.
Rick Johnson
running on first down, and he'll have a gain of 7 yards.
Wally Bono, defensive coach of the Stamps, with the defensive backs and the linebackers.
No, that was 17 coming out. It's tape.
Okay, Dan, it's just a tape formation.
Let's go! Have they been over at all?
2nd and 3. Stamps at the Ottawa 49-yard line. Ottawa 7-0 in the first quarter. Handoff. Gary Allen. Greg Marshall has him. Allen actually ran right into Greg Marshall. We have penalty flags as Allen comes up a good 3 yards short of the Calgary first down.
Offside, Ottawa number 25.
Defenses are having a heck of a time staying onside so far in this game.
Calgary offside 3 times in a row, and that or near the end of that Ottawa drive that produced the Sean Faulkner touchdown. And now Ottawa jumps offside and gives the Stampeders a first down at the Ottawa 44 when they'd stopped them 3 yards short on 2nd down. Larry Kuharek, the head coach of the Stampeders, director of football operations as well, looking on and looking for his offensive line to redeem themselves after what he called a very shabby performance in Winnipeg on Sunday in that 40-5 loss. This pass by Johnson nowhere near Tony Woodruff, who's back in the lineup tonight. There were points in that game, Neil, where Rick Johnson was actually yelling at his offensive linemen for missing assignments and that type of thing.
Well, Kuharek has given him the freedom to take control of the offense, not only just call the plays and the situations, but take charge. If somebody's not playing up to snuff, let them know about it, and it actually can go as far as sending him off the field. I don't think you'd see that, but Kuharek has given him that opportunity if he needs it.
2nd and 10, Stamps, Ottawa 44. Johnson throws, and it's no good. Intended for Woodruff down near the 30. He was hit by Tommy Williams and couldn't hang on. And in that game we talked about last Sunday in Winnipeg, our Canada Lease MVP was Tom Clements, the Blue Bombers quarterback. He completed 27 of 38 passes for 407 yards, a couple of touchdowns. That one to Jeff Boyd as the Bombers beat the Stampeders 40-5. Tom Clements, the Canada Lease MVP, last Sunday on CFN. 3rd down and 10. Stampeders, Ottawa 44. Glenn Harper at the kick. And he gets a beauty away. Mark Lewis will wait for it in the end zone and concede a single point. And with 8 minutes and 6 seconds remaining in the opening quarter, Ottawa's lead is now 7-1 from McMahon Stadium in Calgary. A 50-yard single. Ottawa leads 7-1, approaching the midway point of the first quarter at McMahon Stadium. Ottawa 1st and 10, and Pow has Lewis at the 40 for a gain of 4 or 5. He's hit very hard on the play by Larry Hogue and also David McCrary.
Last week, the Stampeder defense had their hands full with Tom Clements and the Winnipeg offense, but the one thing I was impressed with as the game went on, and even right down to the end, these group of 12 guys never stopped hitting. They came up, they swarmed, they hit hard. They were getting beaten, but they weren't going to drop back into a shell.
Laird, Belleville, Holman, and Goldsmith up front. Lamont Jeffers, Morrison, and Green, the linebackers for Calgary, as Sean Faulkner finds a pretty good hole on 2nd and 5. Bernie Morrison makes him pay for the 5 yards, but he looks like he'll have a first down for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Holman not injured, just staying down on the turf. And the defensive backs for Calgary: Hopkins, Hall, Peterson, Hogan, McCrary.
Holman's starting to get back into the form from the year past when he was Rookie of the Year. Takes on a block and then spins off. When he's taking that block on, he can see what's going on behind him in the backfield, spins into the play.
Ottawa 1st and 10 at the Ottawa 45. Pow on a draw play with Faulkner, and he'll have 4 or 5 more yards, picking his way behind some pretty good blocking. Irv Damon replacing Roger Catlin at right tackle for Ottawa in this game as Harold Hallman made the stop.
When you come off the line of scrimmage, you've got to respect the opportunity that the team's going to pass, but you also have to play for the run first, and that's what he does. He gets pushed back, but still is able to release off the line of scrimmage. But you'd have to think that the offensive linemen are doing a good job. They're snapping the heads back. They're pushing the men at least 3 yards off the line of scrimmage. That gives the running back room to move.
Leo Groenwagen, the first player chosen in this year's draft, was the man that Holman was up against that time. Pow swings it out to Faulkner on 2nd down and about 5 or 6, and Faulkner get a yard or 2 to the Ottawa 51, but the Rough Riders will have to punt. I was going to say that Damon is replacing Roger Catlin. Catlin is fine. Everybody knows by now he's coming back from the emotional problems that forced him to miss a few weeks of action. He played last week, but they don't think he's quite in game shape yet physically, so they're going to give him a little more time, but they expect Roger Catlin to return. 3rd and 3, Ottawa. Ken Clark hits a dandy punt. over the head of Gary Allen in the end zone. Allen will concede the single point on this one as Clark hit that one right on the beam. 5:44 left in the opening quarter.
Lotteries for their support this season. Tackle some cash. Play first and goal. Win $5,000 through $25,000 instantly.
Joe Paopao in his 10th CFL season, his first in Ottawa. He spent the first 6 with BC and then 3 with Saskatchewan. Harold Hallman, the Rookie of the Year in the CFL last year. His second campaign with the Stampeders, who have the football first and 10 at their 35-yard line after a 73-yard punt single by Ken Clark. And this is Tim Petros on first down, and he'll have 3 or 4. Rod Brown, the corner, came up to make the stop on Tim Petros.
Super job of Petros to get to the outside, but the reason he can get to that outside and then turn up the field is an outstanding block by Tom Spolatini, the left guard. Right there, down on the ground. Now Petros can get back upfield.
Greg Marshall back in the Ottawa lineup this week. He's been in and out with a pinched nerve in his neck. Second down and 7. Johnson throws no good, intended for Willis, but Willis hadn't made his turn and the football was there. Johnson under some pressure, and the Ottawa Rough Riders felt that if they could get after Johnson, similar to the way Winnipeg did last Sunday, they could unsettle him and make life miserable.
Well, unsettling him means bringing some extra people. Ottawa did that with a halfback, Calvin Lovell, that time right in his face. He had to get rid of the ball early.
Ottawa using a 4-man front with Marshall, Lewis, Bourgeot, and Arba Bacher with 3 linebackers. They've been going with the 30 defense, the 3-down lineman most of the season, as Glenn Harper punts on 3rd down and 7. Mark Lewis at the 30, across the Ottawa 40 and out to the 42-yard line. Matt Finley made the stop, a 41-yard punt and a 12-yard return. 8-1, Ottawa leads Calgary. 4:43 left in the opening quarter.
On the punt team, the center sometimes is uncovered, and veteran Bob Poley gets a good snap back, making sure that head's down. The ball's in the punter's hands. Now he can go untouched. It's just there's the gait of a long distance runner right there. Positions himself. Whoops. Well, he makes the man go by him. He knows what he has to do. Take the block route.
Well, centers don't make tackles, do they? First and 10, Ottawa at the Ottawa 41. Paopao, the quick out to Lewis, but he can't get down to pick it up at the 47-yard line. Lewis tightly covered by McCrary out there on the corner. Bob Poley's playing his 148th CFL game this evening. Joe Paopao had a perfect night up until that pass.
Poley's been a fine center in the CFL. He's played a lot of good years. He used to play junior hockey. Played with the Regina Pats. He's a good athlete. All those centers are good athletes. That's what they tell me.
That's right, they are. He's from the Regina Rams junior program in Regina, Bob Poley. Joe Paopao throws over the middle and he completes it. There's a flag. Jim Reed with the catch up of the 48 or 49. We would suspect that would be a pass interference penalty that's going to be called. The gain was 7 or 8 yards.
Pass interference. Calgary number 95. First down.
Lamont Jeffers, the linebacker. Coverage a little bit too tight. And it'll be first down for Ottawa.
Reed's playing the tight end spot. On the running plays is important. He'll release upfield and makes a nice catch there. Putting that right hand out and snaring the ball.
Actually, they gained up to the 47 or 48 after Reed had fallen ahead, but they ruled the interference at the 45 of Ottawa, so they'll take the penalty and a first down there. First and 10, Riders with an 8-1 lead. Handoff to John Faulkner. He drops the ball, picks it up again at the 50-yard line, and will finish with a gain of about 5 yards. Faulkner fortunate to have that one bounce right back into his arms.
He was very fortunate. Jim Reed's made a living at fullback because of his blocking ability. Now at the tight end spot, it's no different. He comes off the ball nice and low, gets in front of Jeffers, just keeps him completely out of the play.
Go, guys, come on, let's go.
Second down and 5 for the Ottawa Rough Riders. With just over 3 minutes left in the first quarter, and Ottawa's had the football most of this quarter. Paopao back to pass, and he throws knocked down by Jeffers, intended for Mark Lewis, who was further downfield, but Lamont Jeffers had dropped off and he batted it down.
Backup quarterback Rick Warman drawing some plays out, maybe trying to give Rick Johnson some help when he gets an opportunity to come back off the field. What might work and what might not work.
Third down and 5. Ottawa at the Rough Rider 50. 39-year-old Ken Clark stands back at his 35. And he gets another good kick away. Clark had a 42.2-yard average coming into this game, which is 4 below his career average, and he gets another good one away. Gary Allen brings it back to the 14 of the Calgary Stampeders. 58-yard punt by Ken Clark, who has also kicked a 73-yard single in this opening quarter.
Rob Robertus, who snaps for the Ottawa Rough Riders in third down situations. Again, he's uncovered, gets a chance to release after the ball gets back. He knows the punt's gone. He wants to make the tackle. He's going down a little better speed. Of course, he's a young fella. Take on the blocker and then slide underneath.
Ray Robertus.
I don't know if I'd ever want to put my head down with somebody lined up in front of me. That's a thankless job.
First down toss for the Calgary Stampeders to Emmanuel Tolbert. And he'll have 4 or 5 yards out to the 18 or 19 of the Stampeders. That's that T formation that the Stamps showed a few times in Winnipeg last Sunday, Neil.
Well, they want to get Emmanuel Tolbert. A little bit different. It's a sweep. It's like a power sweep. He's got his running backs in front of him. He gets upfield. He's a good runner with the football. Not only is he a great receiver, but that shows you what type of ability he has when he can tuck the football under his arm and go with it.
Second down and 4. Stamps at their 20-yard line. 2 minutes left. Opening quarter. Ottawa leading 8-1. And off to Petros as flags fly. He will be very close to the Calgary first down. But we have penalty flags.
But there is a flag down.
Offside, Ottawa line. First down.
Here we go again with the offsides.
Another offside. I think that's 5 in the first quarter. 5 offside penalties, I believe. That's 5. First and 10. Calgary up at their 25.
Stampeders would like to thank
As 41-year-old Larry Kuharek from Middleton, New York, looks on from the Calgary bench. Rick Johnson on the Stamps for the first and 10. Calvin Lovell blitzing. Tolbert wide open. He's to the 40. Emmanuel Tolbert to the 47-yard line of Calgary. Calvin Lovell came on a blitz, and Tolbert was wide open.
Kuharek said Tolbert was ready to break loose. Good read by Johnson. Like you said, halfback blitz from the right side. He gets some good protection still, even though they're blitzing. Tolbert comes free underneath, gets upfield.
22-yard gain to Emmanuel Tolbert, who doesn't have the numbers this year that you expect from him. 354 yards in receptions coming into this game on the season. Only 26 catches. He's had 3,000-yard seasons in his career. But that's symptomatic of the struggles the Calgary offense has had this year, and they nearly got that pass picked off as it was tipped in the air by 2 or 3 players. Michel Bourgeot among those who had a shot at it.
Well, this is tough on coaches. They see the ball released in the quarterback, the receiver in the air, and all of a sudden the ball's up in the air. And of course, it's anybody's ball when this happens. It's the old tip drill.
Johnson rifled that ball to Gary Allen, Neil, and he just couldn't handle it. Went off his shoulder, it looked like. Second down and 10. Stampeders at their 47-yard line. Less than a minute to go now in the opening quarter. Ottawa leading 8-1. Johnson spreading right. Will take off with it, and he'll dive at center field, and will come up a couple of yards short of a first down.
Mike Johnson's a little angry at himself. He knew where the first down marker was. All he had to do was take a couple more steps, and he's got that first down. Ottawa coming with the 4 down linemen. They no longer use the 30. Trying to get as much heat on Johnson as they can. Here you go. He goes down just that little spurt right there at the end. He realized he was going down a bit too early.
Took one look at Anthony Woodson and decided he'd be better off on the artificial turf. But you're right, if he takes one more step, Neil, chances are he gets the first down. It's 3rd and 2, Stamps. Harper to punt. And he gets a super kick away. The punting has been extraordinary thus far. Mark Lewis returning it to the 12-yard line of Ottawa. Good coverage on a 49-yard punt by Glenn Harper. Brought back just 5 yards by Mark Lewis.
Calgary had a short work week this week, which means they only had 2 days to prepare. They never put the pads on, which I don't think concerned Larry Kuharek. He felt that this team knew what they had done wrong, knew the things they had to change to get after Joe Paopao on defense, and I think that wasn't a problem, not wearing shoulder pads.
And in Ottawa, they had to take the pads off because the first 2 practice days after their loss to BC, the players were going at each other with such vigor that Fred Glick was afraid somebody was going to get hurt. Pow on first down, throws into a crowd, and it was nearly picked off up at the 30-yard line. Alphin was there. So was Troy Smith, and so were two Calgary Stampeders.
Looking for Willis.
The play calling is good by Pow. He sprints to the right, and he's sprinting away from Richie Hall, the halfback, who's blitzing from the other side. And that looks center Marv Alamang.
Well, he was banged up against BC a couple of times last week as well. It's interesting how a team that's struggling and losing will respond, and I guess Fred Glick would have to be happy at the way his team responded in practice. They weren't sulking and down. They were mad. They were belting each other around, and I suppose that's what you like to see.
Well, it is what you like to see, but you'd like to be able to have them do it in the football game too. It's one thing to practice hard and go crazy in practice and execute properly, but now you've got to carry it over onto in game day, and that's the most important thing.
Make the other team pay as well as your teammates. There is a young fan in there. There she is. That apple juice probably as important to her at this stage as anything else that's going on in McMahon Stadium.
Break this out like that.
Stamps drawing up more plays, Neil. Rick Warman, Emmanuel Tolbert, Rick Johnson talking on the phone. Just to expand a little bit on what Larry Kuharek was telling us today, he wants to give all his players more responsibility on the field, more freedom to call different plays, to do some freelancing as long as it's within the confines of what they're trying to do in a certain setup. But he's trying to turn more of the game over to the players. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's a good idea. He points out particularly on defense, Bernie Morrison, who's been around a long time, understands the game. He feels the players have a better feel for the game. You can control the game as a coach from the sidelines only so much in direction, but you've got to let them play it, and they know what the tempo is, and oftentimes they have a good feeling of what to call.
Ottawa Rough Riders are second and 10 at their 12-yard line. Barring a penalty, this will be the final play of the first quarter, and there is a penalty. Calgary looked to be offside unless they were drawn. And that would be the 6th offside of the first quarter.
Offside, Calgary number 38, second down repeated.
That's Bruce Green. So we have a couple of very anxious teams here this evening on defense, unable to stay back until the football is snapped.
Well, you might be able to get away from saying, well, it was early in the game and the Butterflies, I'm all excited, but at the end of the first quarter, you've got to be settled down, ready to play some football, and jumping offside like that, I don't think there's an excuse for it.
2nd and 5. Ottawa from the Riders' 17-yard line. Pow throws down the sideline, no good, intended for Troy Smith up at the 40-yard line, and that closes out the first quarter. It was a good opening quarter for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Joyce, he'll be back in.
Rick Johnson, who has thrown 6 touchdown passes and 17 interceptions this season. Horrible numbers, and the reasons for them are many. And Ottawa jumps offside. The play whistle dead. We're going to have our 7th offside penalty of the game. Ken Lazarick from Winnipeg, the head referee.
Offside, Ottawa number 66.
Greg Marshall.
Back in the lineup, has had a pinched nerve in his neck for a number of weeks. Probably still has it, but he realizes, and Fred Glick realizes, this team is better on defense with him in the game.
It's Ottawa's 11th game of the season. It's the 7th one that Greg Marshall has played. This is 8th CFL season, 2-time All-Canadian, Shinley Award winner. He's been a good one. 1st and 5, Stampeders with the penalty at the Ottawa 42-yard line. Hand off to Petros, and he'll get only a yard or 2 trying the middle. Fred Glick, Neil, has changed away from the philosophy that he believes in, which is the 3-4 defense, and he's going with 4 down linemen tonight. The personnel he has at his disposal have dictated that change.
2nd and 4.
Watching Gary Allen trying to get inside, blocking the newcomer back to lineup, Greg Marshall. He's going to have to get there a little bit quicker because Marshall reads very well and closes on the play.
67 is Robert Weir, who's in at defensive tackle for Ottawa. And a first down pass to Willis at the 15. Larry Willis to the 10. He's to the 5. Touchdown. Yards, Rick Johnson to Larry Willis, and that'll tie the game if J.T. Hay can add the convert.
Well, he certainly is slick once he catches the football. I don't know. I've seen too many people move like this after they've made a reception. There's only one place for him to go, come back in, because he's on the sidelines. That's just a great effort.
Larry Willis, he has been a bright spot since game 1 for the Calgary Stampeders. That would be his 50th catch of the season, his 6th touchdown, and a J.T. Hay convert evens the score at 8-8. We are very early in the second quarter. With Rick Johnson and a J.T. Hay convert, and we're tied at McMahon Stadium. 24-year-old Larry Willis in his second year. He is blossoming into a star. The kickoff is fielded at the 30-yard line and returned up to the 44-yard line by Patrick Wayne, a linebacker for the Ottawa Rough Riders, as J.T. Hay bounced it downfield. Joe Paopao started the game for the Ottawa Rough Riders, to the surprise of many, I suspect, because Fred Glick indicated yesterday that Todd Dillon would be his starter in all likelihood, but he's opted for Paopao, and Joe's done a good job thus far. And he has the Riders first and 10 at their 43. We're 2 minutes into the second quarter. And Faulkner, and he'll get 2 or 3 yards across the 45 to the 46 of Ottawa.
I think having Paopao running the offense does a number of things for you. That experience factor that Dillon doesn't have, and also able to recognize defenses. Last week, Calgary, as we said, had a hard time with Winnipeg's offense. Kaharick said they played a lot of zone. They weren't going to do that today. I'm sure Ottawa knew that, and the old veteran Paopao does a better job reading what goes on down the field. Better chance for receptions.
Second and 8 Riders. They're at their 45-yard line. Paopao to pass. Big pressure, and he's sacked. Bruce Green gets him back at the 35-yard line.
Paopao brought down by Bruce Green in the backfield.
Pressure from the outside and from the inside. Larry Hogue, halfback, comes up. As you can see, Moore tries to step up and block Hallman. That's a handful. That one step, that delay that Paopao stands there for a second, allows Hogue to come from the outside, and Hallman's pursuit up the middle to put him down.
Starting the night, Calgary had 37 sacks on the season, the 5th best total in the CFL, as Ken Clark punts under pressure and gets another good kick away. Gary Allen at Calgary 27. He's across the 30 to about the 32-yard line. A 49-yarder by Clark and a 6-yard return. Calgary had 37 sacks and had allowed 46. They were -9 in that category. Ottawa -19. They've only recorded 30 sacks. They've given up 49.
Hey, Hogan.
Harold Hallman, Neil, is playing better, it seems, as each week passes. He struggled early. Struggled with the defensive system they were using here in Ottawa, or in Calgary, pardon me, as much as anything, but they've changed that, simplified it, and he seems to be coming on.
They're taking the reins off and just let him go loose.
Stamps from their 32, first and 10. Johnson with pressure, and he's brought down at the 33 or 4. He'll gain a couple of yards. Greg Marshall made the stop.
Johnson chased down by
Marshall with pressure from the outside. Those defensive ends have to be very cautious that they don't let the quarterback release to the outside. Keep him in the pocket, make him come upfield, then come off your block, and Marshall does it very well right here.
Marshall had 6 sacks in the 6 games he played coming into tonight. Johnson gains a yard. We'll call it 2nd and 9 from the Calgary 33. Johnson, and it's no good. Intended for Willis, breaking out at the 47-yard line. Tommy Williams with the coverage. And the Stamps will have to punt again. 3 minutes and 39 seconds into the second quarter as Rick Johnson not pleased that they didn't get a drive going. Stampeders have not moved the football very well. They had the scoring pass to Larry Willis, and that's about all the offense they've had.
Still see signs that Rick Johnson is throwing the ball a lot better. That time in the pattern, the ball was gone before the receiver makes the cut. That communication and feeling is slowly coming back. The Stampeders go as Johnson goes.
Low snap. Harper gets a low kick away. The 35-yard line. Will Lewis trying to turn the corner. He's to the 40. Lewis to the 45 and up to the 48-yard line. Nice return by Will Lewis. Darcy Kopp made the stop. The punt traveled 42 and the return was 12 yards. A little high maybe, huh?
It'd be great if you could stay over the stadium, but as soon as you start to drift, it'd be tough to call.
You'd never get me near that thing. It's a gorgeous evening in Calgary, 19 Celsius at game time. The Ottawa Rough Riders, 1st and 10. Sean Faulkner tripped up by Vince Goldsmith before he could move to his left and get any running room. Faulkner stopped for no gain. 8-8 the score. We're just about 5 minutes into the second quarter, and we have on the telephone line with us from his home in Toronto, Doug Mitchell, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League. Good evening, Doug.
Hi, Bob. How are you doing?
Fine. How are you? Let's talk a little bit about the meetings you've had over the last couple of days and what was done. Perhaps you could highlight them for us.
Well, Bob, I think obviously the major move that we made, I think, was a tremendous move forward for the league to go into a new gate sharing formula where the visiting team gets 40% of the gate revenue and the home club gets 70% of the gate revenue. And you know, we operate in such a unique country, and we operate in cities ranging in population from 150,000 to 3 million, and I think it's a step that is going to ensure the stability and the longevity of the league over the future.
Doug, could you give us just a basic idea? I know it can be very complicated of what this gate equalization change will mean.
Well, basically it means that the smaller cities like Ottawa and Saskatchewan can rely on the larger cities for gate equalization in order to meet their expenses in the future. And I think what is really important is that now the visiting club has a vested interest in ensuring that the game is competitive and entertaining when they're there, so that we see the league as a partnership amongst the 8 participating teams. And I think this, together with the policy which we've adopted, that we had salary caps last year and we're looking at operational costs as well, and we're going to go into the 1988 season confident that all 8 teams can break even financially, and we'll eliminate this malaise about which team will lose the most money.
Doug, in preparation for the 88 season, has there been some talk about scheduling and changing starting times at all?
Well, Neil, I think that's one real positive move that we made. The season next year won't start until July 20th, which will be 1 month later than it has in the past, and I think it's a tremendous move for us. Football is a fall sport, and getting into the latter part of the summer, the latter part of July for a start, and training camps will no longer start when the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs are on. They'll start about mid-June.
Doug, thanks very much for taking the time out to join us and explain some of the major moves that were made at those meetings.
Okay, Bob, been a pleasure.
Doug Mitchell, the commissioner of the Canadian Football League, with us live via telephone as Ottawa on 3rd down after moving the ball a little bit. Has Ken Clark to punt, and he hits yet another good one at the 3-yard line, and it's returned across the 10 and then fumbled and recovered again by the Stampeders at their 11. 9:08 remaining in the second quarter. We're at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Anthony Woodson hurt on the punt coverage of the last Ken Clark kick, and that's exactly what the Riders don't need, is to lose Woodson.
Here he is on the right side. Almost seemed like he jammed that left foot into the turf as he's trying to reach. The leg didn't move. Don't know what the injury is.
We'll find out, though. Calgary 1st and 10 from its 11. Gary Allen carrying, and he can't get around the corner. Has to turn it back inside and is stopped by Calvin Lovell and Lloyd Lewis. The Ottawa Rough Riders are using Jerome Erdman as their safety tonight. Kyle Hall was injured in a practice this week, Erdman number 29. And Erdman has been pressed into duty. He's played slot back all year for Ottawa.
Eric Emery in pursuit right there. You see the right foot get caught under a block. An offensive lineman is reaching out, trying to knock the man down who's pursuing. The foot gets caught in the ground.
Well, they only have one backup linebacker, and that's Shane Ireland. So with Woodson and now Emery leaving the game, I'm not sure what they'll do. I guess Robert Weir and Michel Bourgeot will both have to play in there. Maybe they'll have a 5-man defensive line, or at least, or maybe put Cliff Hewitt in, who's a 6th defensive back.
Well, I think as far as mobility goes, Greg Marshall might be the one that they could stand up as an outside linebacker, put him to the weak side, which would be the short side of the field in a lot of situations, and if he had to drop in passing situations, he doesn't have to go very far. But that's a concern. I mean, how many more things can go wrong for this man?
Well, the Ottawa Rough Riders, of course, have had lots of problems this season, and it seems like when you're struggling and not playing as well as you think you can play, everything gets compounded. You don't get the breaks and all the rest of it. Emery being helped off the field, and he's looking like he might return, walking fairly well as he's taken to the sidelines. This will be a dandy. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers at the BC Lions on Sunday on CFN. Well, we don't know for sure that it'll be a dandy, but we would certainly suspect that. 4 Eastern time. The Blue Bombers at the Dome in BC. Rick Johnson screening on first down. Had a nice play by Will Lewis and a fumble by the Stampeders, and they got it back. Will Lewis moving up to make a good hit and force the ball loose, but the Stampeders were able to get it back, and now we have a little melee breakout afterwards.
Coming up
Will Lewis.
and forcing. That's just a good job of Lewis of reading what's going on upfield. He sees that the left tackle of the Stampeders cuts the end down right there. He knows to come up. It's a screen to the back. He makes a good one-on-one play. And then the ball pops loose when Allen hits the ground.
Number 15, at least Spivey recovered. Number 15 for Ottawa was Cliff Hewitt, so the Riders obviously went with the 6th defensive back to replace the injuries to the linebacker position. 3rd down and 7. Stamps at their 13. 8 all to score. And Harper with a big rush gets a very good kick away. Mark Lewis at the 40 of Ottawa. And Christensen grabs Lewis at the 45 and hauls him down. A 57-yard punt and a 5-yard return. Christensen showing good lateral movement to stay with Mark Lewis.
5 yards on the return.
Good punt. It goes deep. Almost out kicks the coverage, but right here you see Christensen. He's just mirroring him. Now it's a chase time. Gets a hook of those shoulder pads and pulls him down.
57 yards. Win through Chrysler.
Well, there's where you get that big, tall, long strider like Christensen, and you're not sure how fast he's moving until you see him chase down a short guy whose legs move quick. Pow throws long down the sidelines, but it's over the head of Mark Lewis down around the Calgary 30 or 35-yard line. The Ottawa Rough Riders opened this game by taking the opening kickoff, 67 yards and 11 plays for a touchdown. Since that time, their offensive output has been very sporadic.
Well, some of the credit, I think, has to go to the Stampeder defense. They've made some changes after that first drive. Talked about some things. Closed down the holes and the gaps, try to restrict Ottawa's mobility downfield. They've been able to do it.
2nd and 10, Ottawa from its 45. Pow, Holman has him, flags fly. Pow gets away, shovels it off to Faulkner, and he gets out to the 45-yard line, which is the original line of scrimmage. But we do have penalty flags.
I think we're going to have another offside, possibly Lamont Jeffers.
Offside, Calgary number 95.
You're right, Neil. Lamont Jeffers, and that's the 8th offside of the game. You don't see that shovel pass much anymore, do you?
No, you don't. Well, I haven't seen it since Tom Wilkinson days. He threw most of his balls like that, as a matter of fact. Completed them all, mind you, but...
Oh, he'll be pleased to hear you say that.
Pow must be changing up his count because he's pulling the defense.
Calgary offensive team with Ron Smeltzer conducting a meeting. 2nd down and 5. Ottawa with the offside penalty. Pow throws. It's tipped. No good. Intended for Alphen, I believe. Bernie Morrison got a hand on it. Alphen waiting down at the Calgary 50-yard line.
Pass batted down by Morrison.
Well, Joe Pow is bogged down after a quick start, a 6 for 6 start. He's completed 1 of his last 8.
He's getting some pressure up front. I think the Calgary defense realizes that Pow doesn't like to drop deep. 3 or 4 steps at the most. They can get that surge up the middle. They can really disrupt him. That's what they've done.
3rd and 5, Ottawa from the Ottawa 50. The score tied at 8. Ken Clark, another good punt. It's the best night I've seen Clark have this season. Gary Allen at the 15 of the Stamps. And he runs into the arms of Patrick Wayne up at the 22 or 23. And that's where the Stampeders will start their next offensive series. A 47-yard punt. by Ken Clark. And he's hit every punt very solidly tonight.
Cliff Hewitt on the punt team again. Make sure the man goes wide. Yeah, I guess he wasn't sure enough. Then get downfield.
You're not supposed to look back that long, are you?
Well, you've got to be wondering if he's looking back that long. Close in, try to surround the returner, and then bounce off the pile.
I would say that's a sign of worry, huh? Stampeders from their 23. Johnson flips it out complete to Tolbert at the 27, dancing around, and he gets away. It's Larry Willis, not Tolbert. He'll have 10 or 11. There's a flag on the play.
Johnson complete to Willis for a gain close to 10.
Calgary called for holding. I didn't catch the number. Was it 50? Lee Spivey, the left tackle?
Well, that's Larry Willis has underneath his football gear. When it gets a little bit cooler and the track and speedy type receivers need to keep their legs warm, those are called leg warmers. So it's almost like a bodysuit. And of course it's colorful and it matches the uniform, but he continues, Willis does, to impress me to what he does after he catches the football.
Now you're sure that's not in violation of the dress code?
Well, he'll pull his socks back up.
Larry Willis has to pull his socks up. Neil Lumsden said that. 1st and 20. Calgary from their 13-yard line after the holding penalty. And it's a draw play. And it'll gain only a couple of yards. Tim Petros carrying.
Petros on the draw.
Larry Willis having his right wrist looked at.
Gain of a couple of yards.
And he's going to forget about the treatment now and head back into the game on 2nd and long. 5:45 left, first half. Ottawa 8, Calgary 8. And Willis didn't get back in there. Christensen replacing him at wide receiver on 2nd down and 17. Stampeders at their 15. Johnson, and down he goes. Lloyd Lewis sacks Rick Johnson back at the 11-yard line. And the Stampeders will send out Glenn Harper and their punting team once more.
I wouldn't say the offensive line broke down. They held that rush of 4 men out as long as they could. Good job of the secondary linebackers in coverage. They're only rushing 4 men, 5 men blocking. They should be do a good job of protection, but it's going to collapse eventually.
So it's 3rd down and 21 yards to go. Stampeders at their 12-yard line. Glenn Harper, who like Ken Clark has done an outstanding job of punting tonight, a couple of yards in his end zone. And this is not his best kick. Mark Lewis at the 54 of Ottawa. And he's to the 50 to 49-yard line of the Calgary Stampeders. A 45-yard kick by Harper. Lewis brings it back 6 yards. 5:07 left, first half. 8-8 the score. Between the 2 and 8 Ottawa Rough Riders and the 4 and 7 Calgary Stampeders.
Pau gets an opportunity to start his offense in great position, the 50-yard line of the Stampeders. Now's the time, I think, with 5 minutes and a few seconds left, to put another drive together, get down and score a touchdown.
They put the ball down in the Calgary 50. Pau wants that quick pass. Has Alford. He's to the 40, to the 35-yard line. A gain of 14 or 15 yards for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Marv Alamang remains out of the game, the starting center for the Ottawa Rough Riders. Ray Robertus replacing him. Eric Emery, the linebacker for Ottawa, who is hurt, has an ice pack on his ankle. Don't know if we'll see him. Woodson was hurt, another one of their starting linebackers. But the Riders have a 1st and 10 at the Calgary 35. Pau throws, it's complete. Jim Reed fights his way down to the 30 of Calgary for a gain of about 5 yards.
Lamont Jeffers made the tackle.
Marv Alamang playing in game number 191 of his CFL career.
This has to have been a tough season for him after spending the last few years in Hamilton, winning a Grey Cup, having some distress this year, both now on his knee and with the team. The transition has to have been a tough one.
Calgary offense on 2nd and 5. Ottawa. Mark Lewis will be very close to an Ottawa first down near the Calgary 25-yard line. He was split wide to the left and just came underneath, and Pau found him, and Joe Pau seems to have found that rhythm again, Neil.
Well, Fred Glick told us today that they were going to simplify their offense. He works against Bernie Morrison. Morrison's rushing out to make the coverage underneath. Lewis is able to slide underneath just with his quickness and make the reception. But taking some of the offense out of their scheme, simplifying things, can help the offense. You don't have as much to worry about as far as execution goes, not as many plays. Maybe they should have done it a while ago.
Just inches short of a first down. Both these teams have struggled offensively this season. Ottawa's averaging 25 points per game. Calgary just 21. That's the lowest total in the league. That's Todd Dillon talking with head coach Fred Glick as Ottawa comes out on 3rd and inches from the Calgary 25. Pow keeping and appears to have the first down. Stampeders, as they say, averaging 21 points a game, and they've averaged 308 yards a game. Calgary, that's the worst in the CFL. Ottawa's offense has averaged 320 a game, which is the 5th best total. That's 13 first downs. That's a very impressive total for a half of football, or less than a half of football.
Well, they got quite a few of them in their first drive, but again, piling first downs together adds to momentum of your offense.
Just over 3 minutes to go, first half. Swinging it out to Faulkner is Pow. They roll incomplete pass, close to being a lateral. It's a first down and 10 pass from the Calgary 25. That falls incomplete.
That was very close to being a lateral. Faulkner being almost too casual. Look from here like it was exactly parallel, but not too much ahead of that, because Pow laid it out to Faulkner. I think they have to be more conscious in getting on the ball in plays like that. That casual attitude can work against them, I think.
Riders at the Stampeder 25. 3 minutes even left in the first half, and an 8-8 football game. Joe Pow has time, throws the out, but it's over the head of the intended receiver, Troy Smith, and incomplete. And we will see for the first time in the game, Dean Dorsey, the Ottawa field goal team. They will see that when we come back. 2 minutes, 51 seconds left in the opening half.
Let's go! Hey!
That fellow was sitting there very passively until he realized he was on camera.
Well, an antenna coming out of the hat, wires coming out of the hat. I wonder what else he's got under there.
Somebody plugged it in, I guess. 2 minutes and 45 seconds left in the first half. Ken Clark will hold a 32-yard field goal effort by Dean Dorsey, who's made 27 out of 30 this season. And you can make that 28 out of 31. Dorsey hits from 31 yards, and Ottawa goes back in front. They lead the Calgary Stampeders 11-8 with 2:36 left in the first half at McMahon Stadium.
Dean Dorsey was telling me last week a lot of the times when he misses field goals, and it hasn't been a lot lately, it's because of that plant foot of his. That foot isn't exactly parallel to the tee. He says he has a tendency to swing that right leg around too much and hook the ball.
Dean Dorsey having a sensational year. That's the only way you describe it when you've made about 90% of your field goals, 28 out of 31. Anthony Woodson won't play again in this half, which is nearly over, as Harold Hallman is being attended to by the Calgary training staff. Emery's out, two of the starting linebackers for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
We talked earlier about Rick Johnson, that his statistics and numbers aren't that great this year. Kaharika is very quick to point out, though, in the last 4 games, he's 3-1, and all he's doing now is winning, and that's more important than statistics. I think Johnson would agree.
From the 35, Johnson throws, and it's complete to Petros, who falls ahead to the 41-yard line for a gain of 6, and he hurt his right knee on that play.
Gain of 6 yards up to the 41.
Shane Ireland and Cliff Hewitt are in the game, replacing the injured Ottawa linebackers. Hewitt as an extra defensive back, and Ireland playing linebacker.
The Stampeders annual dinner will be held Tuesday, October 20th.
Hallman getting a chance to take it easy. Looks like that injury wasn't too serious, because there aren't any doctors or athletic therapists hovering around him. Of course, with Petros down on the field, it's a different matter.
Tim Petros having his best CFL season, the University of Calgary product. This is his 4th year, and he's become quite a factor in their offense. Patrick Wayne hit Petros in the knee while making that tackle.
Ilirenko working on Greg Marshall. Marshall wants to get upfield, try to beat Ilirenko past the corner, and then get to the quarterback. Ilirenko does a good job of standing him up and keeping him to the outside and out of the way of the quarterback. And we'll see Andy McVeigh taking Tim Petros' spot at fullback.
Really favoring that right leg, Tim Petros, as he's helped off. 2nd down and 4. Stampeders, the football at their 41-yard line. Just over 2 minutes left in the first half. Ottawa leading 11-8. This is Tolbert on a toss. Emmanuel Tolbert, he has the first down. Down to the 46 of the Stamps by Jerome Erdman. But Emmanuel Tolbert, following his blocking very well, picks up the first down.
Well, you think he's been doing this for a living. He makes his blockers look great. McVeigh makes a nice block. He dips in and then back outside, and then uses his quickness and speed. Erdman comes up and makes the tackle from the safety spot. Makes some yards.
Johnson wants to throw on first down and does to Tolbert at the 50 and out of bounds at the 45-yard line of the Ottawa Rough Riders. So Calgary puts good plays back-to-back offensively, and they move into scoring territory. On that running play by Tolbert, what does Kohara call that? That's a T formation where they have the 3 of them line up in the backfield?
Yes.
Yeah. And they've used it 2 or 3 times tonight.
Well, sometimes Kohara feels that it can force the defense to go into their coverage early. They can't disguise it as long. If Tolbert lines up in the backfield, then goes into motion, which makes it easier on Johnson to read the defenses.
1st and 10, Stamps, Ottawa 45. Toss to Gary Allen. He's to the 35 and into the 33 of the Ottawa Rough Riders. Michel Bourgeot coming back, made the tackle. Allen picks up 12 yards and another Calgary first down.
The good running backs and halfbacks come out. They're not going full speed here. He's picking his way, gets a cut, and now starts to accelerate and pump up field. Bourgeot gets a hand on him just as he's starting to accelerate and drags him down.
1:55 left in the first half. Stampeders with Gary Allen again, carrying across the 30 into the 27-yard line of Ottawa for a gain of about 5. Patrick Wayne, who's playing a middle linebacker, in on the tackle. Well, when you lose 2 of your starting linebackers, you're really forced to do some juggling and put in a bit of jeopardy, and that's what Ottawa's looking at now as Calgary's moving the football very well on them. Johnson releases over the middle, and it's no good. Andy McVeigh, the intended receiver, down at the 25 of Ottawa, couldn't squeeze the ball.
And Rick Johnson took a real shot after he threw the ball downfield to McVeigh, and he's having some problems with that right arm or right shoulder. Kohara said against Winnipeg when he took a shot, he thought Johnson had broken his arm when he came to the sidelines. He had what is called again a burner up in the neck, and it was just a numbing sensation down the arm, and we can hope it's just that right now and that'll disappear in a few short minutes.
Greg Marshall is the man who hit Rick Johnson on that pass over the middle. Well, it's been a tough year for Rick Johnson after that sensational season he had last year, throwing for 4,300 yards, 31 touchdowns, 27 interceptions, all Canadian quarterback. And it's been a struggle since day one. This year, the off-season surgery, as Rick Warman warms up with Larry Kohara talking to him. The surgery which set him back in the preseason, and all the talk about whether or not he had worked hard enough to come back, and he just, Neil, he has never, I don't think, had a game yet this season where he's looked like, maybe against Edmonton when they beat them on Labor Day. It was the closest to it, but boy, what a factor he could be for the Stamps if he can get it back.
Well, I think he will learn, and he was very active in the offseason in the Calgary community, that there's got to be some time to work out. You've got to set aside that time, and even though he had the shoulder operated on, doesn't mean he can't work out other parts of his body. 3rd and 5. The Stamps are going to go for it instead of taking the field goal, or at least trying the field goal. Warman throws, has a man wide open, Larry Willis, and that's a first down for Calgary. That is, you know, it worked for them, but that's so against football percentages. Ottawa has a 3-point lead. You're 3rd and 5. You send your field goal kicker out. Take the 3. You got a tie game. They gamble. They made it. Larry Kohara does some things that just go against the grain. Oh, he does, and he's been successful. And a lot of the time, Tommy Williams just couldn't stay with Willis there. Good move back inside and then back out. Williams lost the handle on him. And Warman had lots of time to throw the ball. That was a key on that play. 1st and 10. Stamps, Ottawa 19. Toss to Gary Allen. And he gets to the 16 before Patrick Wayne, the rookie linebacker, makes the stop. We're seeing a lot of Patrick Wayne with the injuries Ottawa's had in their linebacking core. Woodson and Emery out. 1:29 left first half. Ottawa leading 11-8. Rick Warman
it up for Larry Willis in the end zone, and good coverage by Williams to knock it away. Tommy Williams right with Larry Willis.
Rick Johnson with some ice on that shoulder and the neck area. Athletic therapist Pat Clayton taking a very close look at the problem. They'll take a closer look when they get the shoulder pads off at halftime. But right now it's on Rick Warman. Get the ball in the end zone before the half.
3rd down and 7. Stampeders. Ottawa 17, and they're going to go for it.
Does it shock you now, though?
Not at all. It doesn't shock me. I wonder about it a little bit, but I'm not surprised. Warman back to pass. And he throws, and it's caught down at the 2-yard line. They say Willis was inbounds as he made the catch. Tommy Williams can't believe it, the cornerback. But Rick Warman threads the needle to Larry Willis, and they get the 1st down.
Again, Warman feathers this ball in here right to the spot. Willis gets to the sidelines. He looks down at the feet. Those 2 feet are right in bounds. Tommy Williams can't believe it.
Well, it was a tough call for the official. Very, very close. But the Calgary Stampeders are 1st and goal at the Ottawa 2-yard line. Warman the toss, Gary Allen, and he stopped at the 1. Lloyd Lewis made the tackle. Shane Ireland, pardon me, not Lloyd Lewis. Let's give the proper credit. Ireland pressed into duty with the injuries, and he's the man who stopped Allen from getting into the end zone.
Well, the last few yards are always the toughest, and they've just got to come off the ball. They have to dominate the Ottawa line here, and you see McVeigh come through. He picks a spot and then just kind of leans into the linebacker. He has to fly it into Patrick Wayne. He has to try to knock him on his fanny. That attitude has to be taken by the rest of the offensive players, too.
Jerome Erdman is the man who made the first contact on Allen, and Shane Ireland, who was in Calgary's camp this year, or training camp, and was released and was a little bit bitter over it. He didn't think he really got a fair shake, but they're enjoying this opportunity to play against the Stampeders. Timeout was called by Calgary. Rick Warman over visiting with Larry Kuharich. Twice in this series, the Stampeders have gambled on 3rd and long.
And the execution of the plays is what has saved them. It's been just perfect.
And they've made it both times, going against football percentages and making it work. 2nd and goal at the Ottawa 1. Gary Allen has a touchdown, and Stampeders go in front 14-11. A 12-play, 75-yard drive.
Gary Allen picks his spots right here again. Just dominate that offensive line. He's rejected, but not until he crosses that plane. You see the signal of the referee. He's pushed back, but he gets the 6 points first.
4th touchdown of the season for Gary Allen. 2nd-year Stampeder. J.T. Hay on to attempt the convert. And he makes it good, and Calgary goes in front by 15-11.
Well, whether Calgary went against the odds or not, they certainly look good executing, going down the field, picking their receivers, picking the running plays, mixing it up nicely, and capping it off with this jump in the end zone by Allen.
Shane Ireland was there to catch Gary Allen, but Allen was across the goal line by the time he got into the arms of Shane Ireland. But it's kind of fun to watch Larry Kuharich's gambling bravado here as a head coach. But you would think somewhere along the line he's going to get burned by it. He got burned in Winnipeg on a 3rd down gamble early, a 3rd and a couple, and they were stopped short and lost the football. But it hasn't changed his thinking in terms of playing it aggressively. J.T. Hay kicking off, 1:10 left in the 1st half. As Troy Smith brings the kickoff back out across the 40 to the 42-yard line of the Ottawa Rough Riders. So Ottawa with 1:05 has lots of time to get the football in position to answer that Calgary score. Joe Pau brings the Ottawa offense onto the field.
Riders Summit 1st and 10 from their own 42.
Seen a long drive from both teams. Ottawa's first score at 11 plays, 67 yards, and Calgary now 12 plays and 75 yards. Pow on first down. Mark Lewis has it, and he's driven out of bounds at the 53 of Ottawa, but that's an 11-yard gain and an Ottawa first down.
Throwing to the outside, Lewis gets position on the defensive back and then makes a nice out cut. There's too much of a cushion there, and they're reading it. He's making the break off before Hopkins can come back and really challenge him until he gets by the sidelines on a first down.
Larry Kuharek, the Calgary coach, really likes Mark Lewis. He coached against him in the USFL and very impressed with him. Pow, and he won't get it off. He's sacked back at the 46-yard line. Joe Pow looking for something quickly, but it wasn't there, and that gave Lamont Jeffers time to get in and sack the Ottawa quarterback.
Jeffers has really matured as a linebacker. He's a good one-on-one pass rusher right now. They bring him a lot from the backside, and that's the result.
Rick Johnson has a bruised shoulder, we're told. They will look further at it at halftime. Ottawa now with second down and 17 yards to go from their 46-yard line. 41 seconds left in the first half. Pow with time to Mark Lewis. It's tipped and intercepted. Greg Peterson to the 50 of Ottawa. Knocked down at the 48. He fumbles the ball when hit by Shane Faulkner, and Calgary got it back. So with 31 seconds left in the half, the Stampeders get a very big turnover.
Oh, a tipped ball. When that ball's tipped, as we've said earlier, it's anybody's ball. And Greg Peterson, as he's done many times this year, has come up with a big interception. Perfect timing. Just scoops it out. But I'll tell you, if they need another free safety, watch the shot Faulkner puts on him right here. Boom.
Pow threw that ball pretty well, but David McCrary made contact with Lewis just as the football got there, and that made Lewis unable to catch the ball, and it was tipped and intercepted. Rick Warman going long, and Larry Willis makes the catch at the 10-yard line, the 11-yard line of Ottawa, with 24 seconds left in the first half.
Ottawa trying to get to the quarterback. Defensive back Cliff Hewitt blitzes, but in one-on-one situation, Tommy Williams, Larry Willis, pretty good coverage. He's right on his hip. Just jumped a little bit too early, and Willis makes the reception.
Greg Peterson just picked off a Joe Pow pass, his third interception of the year, to set the Stampeders up for more points. 24 seconds left in the half. Calgary first and 10 at the Ottawa 11. Warman, lots of time in the end zone for Willis. He gets one hand on it. That's all. Flags are down, and interference is going to be called on someone.
There's a lot of pushing and shoving going up for the football.
Forward pass interference, 89 Calgary.
Larry Willis is called for forward pass interference.
Pass interference charged against the
Releases to the outside. They're in man coverage again. There's a lot of clutter there in that one push right there.
He gave Tommy Williams just a very small push, and the official in the end zone saw that, didn't like it, called it.
Over a gain of 20 yards to go.
And they moved the football back 10 yards to the Ottawa 21-yard line. So with 20 seconds left in that first half, Calgary has a first and 20. Stampeders leading 15-11. Further word on Rick Johnson. He has re-aggravated a pinched nerve in his shoulder that he's had some problems with. Warman throwing over the middle. Touchdown! Rick Warman to Emmanuel Tolbert.
Emmanuel Tolbert has been quiet in a number of games this year, but he's involved in this one. If he's not running with the football, he catches it in the end zone. Splitting the seam here. The ball is thrown right in the gap. It's been a long time since Rick Warman's had an opportunity to throw a touchdown pass. He throws a strike here, a little bit of extra oomph there. That's in there.
J.T. Hay adds the convert. The Calgary Stampeders have gone in front 22-11 with 14 seconds remaining in the first half. Well, the Ottawa Rough Riders, Neil, we're going along nicely with an 11-8 lead with just a couple of minutes left in the half. But a very long and impressive Calgary drive resulted in a Gary Allen touchdown and then a turnover. Has bitten the Riders, who have had problems with injuries to their linebackers, and now they find themselves down by 11 points.
And with those injuries on defense, it's going to be a long way back, because Calgary has got into a good groove. A lot of people wondered how they would respond after last week's beating at the hands of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and right now it looks like they've bounced back very well.
Now, this is Wall of Fame night, or they call it the Wall of Fame game here in Calgary. Herm Harrison and Harvey Wiley are going to be inducted into the Calgary Stampeder Wall of Fame at halftime. And we'll have Herm Harrison on as a guest in the third quarter. Ham Hands Harrison, great tight end for the Stampeders. Troy Smith with the kickoff is out to the 35 and up to the 36. 9 seconds remaining in the first half.
Troy Smith.
Manuel Tolbert. Wasn't that some throw by Warman on that touchdown? A perfect throw by Rick Warman, as you pointed out.
Well, he zipped it in there. It's seeing Emmanuel Tolbert produce. Everyone knows of his abilities, and he's a big play receiver. He's had many a season over 1,000 yards, but he has been quiet. Involving him in the offense more may have been the key.
See what Joe Pow tries to do here with 9 seconds left, and it looks like it's going to be the snap and kneel. 5 seconds left, 4 seconds left on the clock. Calgary doesn't have a timeout left, so they can't stop the clock. They used their timeout earlier.
Loss of 5.
So what we have coming up will be the final play of the first half, unless there's a penalty.
I think Calgary will be happy with this minor explosion. At the end of the first half, go into the dressing room feeling good, confident, happy about the way they're executing on offense and the way their defense is tightened down after that first drive by the Riders.
Joe Pow takes the snap from center. He's gone all the way at quarterback in the first half, and that play puts an end to the first 30 minutes of football at McMahon Stadium. And the Calgary Stampeders head to their dressing room, as do the Ottawa Rough Riders. 11 points separating the two teams, with Calgary enjoying the edge 22-11.
The Olympic Renewal, an international celebration of sport that inspires dreams of excellence. In February 1988, athletes from over 50 countries compete for the glory of Olympic gold. All Canadians will share in this spectacular moment of pride. The 15th Olympic Winter Games, Calgary, 1988. Olympic ticket order forms at the Royal Bank.
Two touchdowns in the final 70 seconds of the first half have put Calgary in front of Ottawa 22-11 at halftime.
Hi, I'm Lamar Jeffers. 1987 has been a year of great football in the CFL. Tonight on the Petro Canada Hit Parade, we will take a look at some of this season's greatest finishes, with special thanks to Yogi Berra, his starship, and it's not over till it's over.
Well, it's not over, but it's not looking good for the Ottawa Rough Riders at McMahon Stadium in Calgary.
Here's a rundown of tomorrow's CIAU football games across Canada. Come out and enjoy Canadian University football. Check your local newspaper for start times and locations.
And the hockey, it will be busy as will all the venues during the Olympic Games. We're at halftime at McMahon Stadium. Here's a look at how the scoring went in the first half. Sean Faulkner for the Ottawa Rough Riders as they started very impressively, scoring a touchdown. Glenn Harper with a single for Calgary to get them on the board. Then Ken Park answered with a single of his own. 8-1 after one for Ottawa. Calgary tied it. Rick Johnson and Larry Willis, a 41-yard touchdown pass. Dean Dorsey, a field goal for Ottawa to put them back in front 11-8. And then the Stamps went to work. Gary Allen capping a long drive with a touchdown plunge. And then after an interception, Rick Warman hit Emmanuel Tolbert for a touchdown pass. And Calgary enjoys a 22-11 lead at halftime. Neil Lumsden and the Ottawa Rough Riders trying to snap that 7-game losing streak did a lot of good things in that first half, but those last 70 or 80 seconds would have to be extremely deflating.
Well, they'd like to forget about that, but they did start off very well, primarily because they gave Pow Pow some time to throw. Protection was important. Then it started to collapse on them. Calgary got more and more heat as the second quarter went on, and here you see the pressure. If it wasn't for a great play and heads up by both Faulkner and Pow Pow, this would have been a sack. Latter part of the second quarter, Lamont Jeffers blitzing from the backside. Pow Pow only taking a short drop, hoping that will keep the pressure off him. No luck. Jeffers gets a sack.
Statistically, the first half was fairly even as far as first downs go, but look at the net yards. Calgary 221 and Ottawa 118, almost double. Look at possessions. Ottawa scoring on that first drive, and then the rest of the way not as good. They had to punt a number of times. And of course a turnover late in the half which hurt them, and the Calgary Stampeders got it going late with those 2 touchdowns, and they had one other good drive, and they've used the turnover and the late scores to take an 11-point halftime lead. By Petro-Canada dealers and agents, our energy is Canada. And by Carling O'Keefe Breweries, the CFL. It's the game around here. Rick Johnson suffered an injury in the second quarter. We understood it was a pinched nerve in his shoulder. Neil, does he look like a guy who may be able to play in this half or not?
Well, one of the keys is usually when you see a hat on a quarterback, or if he's holding a clipboard and a pen, that means that he might not be going back in. He was holding that right shoulder and arm very close to his body, and you see he doesn't reach down too easily. The jacket's coming out. I don't think he'll go back in unless they absolutely need him.
Jacket's coming out because it has really cooled off here at McMahon Stadium, as it is prone to do in the evening. Fred Glick, the head coach of the Ottawa Rough Riders, again, I'm sure shaking his head and wondering why everything seems to go so poorly for his team. They had the turnover late in the half and 14 Calgary points in the last 70 seconds, and what had looked like a good outing for his team took a very sour turn, but still a long way to go, and Ottawa will kick off to begin the second half. Dean Dorsey bounces it through the middle, and it's batted at the 25 by Hopkins, who finally gets a handle on it and is up to the 50-yard line and out near center field. Will Lewis made the stop. Good return by Ron Hopkins.
Well, that pooch kick is designed to disrupt a return. The ball bounces around. It's tough to get a handle on it, but Ottawa isn't coming down and swarming. They're not getting down and making the hits and doing a good job on the special teams to start the half off. I hope that isn't a sign of things to come.
30-yard return by Hopkins. Rick Warman was impressive after taking over from Rick Johnson. And we expect to see him retire second half unless he gets hurt. 1st and 10, Stamps at center field. Handoff goes to Gary Allen. He's tripped up after a gain of 3 or 4 yards.
Ends off to Allen.
Checking out that Ottawa defense, they do not have either Emery or Woodson back in there at linebacker.
Quick hitting play. They're looking for an area to get Gary Allen with his quickness up into a seam, knowing he can bust a long one at any time.
Cliff Hewitt made the tackle. Hewitt is actually, he's a defensive back. He's actually lining up as a linebacker. 2nd down and 6. Stamps at the Ottawa 51. Swing pass. Gary Allen. Nice move to get away from Hewitt, but Hewitt was able to get a piece of him and stop for a gain of 2 or 3. And 4 yards, almost 5 yards short of a Calgary first down.
That's tough on Hewitt. He has to go into the flat. Gary Allen, when he catches the ball, is moving, so Hewitt's already at a disadvantage. He makes a good play by turning him inside and tripping him up.
Now you see Larry Kuharek thought about gambling on this 3rd down and 4 from the Ottawa 49. I'm surprised he's not. He has sent out Glenn Harper and the punt team as Mark Lewis drops back. We're just underway in the 2nd half at McMahon Stadium. 22-11. The Stampeders leading, and Harper hits our rocket. Lewis will let it bounce through the end zone. He picks it up at the last minute, and that's another point for the Stampeders. And they go in front by 12, 23-11. At halftime at McMahon Stadium tonight, the 2 newest members of the Stampeder Wall of Fame were unveiled. Harvey Wiley and Herman Ham Hands Harrison were inducted into the Wall of Fame during a halftime ceremony. 2 of the great players in the history of the Stampeders. Harvey Wiley played from 1956 to 64, a defensive back, and Herm Harrison was a tight end and one of the outstanding tight ends this league has seen. And Mr. Harrison is with us. Herm, first of all, you must be very pleased to join the august company you've just joined.
Yes, Bob, I am. I'm very, very pleased. It's a great honor. There's a lot to choose from, and just the simple fact that they picked me, I think, it's just a super honor for me.
You've stayed here since your playing career ended. What are you doing?
I'm selling radio with KISS AM and 96.
I want to know, and I think it might be obvious to some people, why do they call you ham hands? How big are those hands of yours? Give me that right hand. I wouldn't have dropped a ball either if I had hands like that.
Just a small hand, that's all.
Herm, what are the most memorable parts of your career? Games or situations that you recall with fondness?
Well, I think with games, I've had a lot of memorable situations with games. I think
Just a second, Herm, we've got a touchdown. Gerald Alpin is going to go in and score for the Ottawa Rough Riders as they'll cut Calgary's lead to 23-17, but there is a flag on the play. And while we wait for that, Herm, 2 games stand out in your career.
Yes, playing against Saskatchewan on my birthday in '68 and winning a Grey Cup in '71. Those were the 2.
When you came up here, you were a wide receiver. How'd you get into tight end?
Well, believe it or not, I came up here and they had Bobby Taylor and Pete Manning playing wide receiver. And so they moved me into tight end. But I didn't make the team at tight end. I made the team at a linebacker because I just couldn't really, I could not seem to break in. And we brought in 19 linebackers that year. So they stuck me in there and says, okay, give it a try, and made the team at linebacker.
Well, it worked out well. Herm, thanks for joining us, and congratulations on being named to the Calgary Wall of Fame.
Oh, well, thank you both for having me. It's just great.
Herm Harrison, former great tight end for the Calgary Stampeders. Fred Glick and the Ottawa Rough Riders were just denied a touchdown pass to Gerald Alpin on an illegal procedure penalty. So they'll be 2nd down and 9 from their 35. The pass for Lewis is no good. And the Ottawa Rough Riders are going to have to punt the football. You know, a team that's down, Neil, it's lost 7 games in a row, that had those 14 points scored against them in the last 70 seconds of the 2nd quarter. You can only take so much punishment, and it has to get to you. And I would think at this stage, the Ottawa Rough Riders are on the verge of severe depression.
Depression might be a good word to describe it. As you said, they get a big play called back because somebody moves before the ball snap.
Ken Clark punting. Richie Hall at the 40 of Calgary. He's up to the 45 or 46. Cliff Hewitt leading the tacklers downfield. A 35-yard punt
34 yards
by Ken Clark. Well, and especially to score and think you've got yourself back into a good position and have that denied because you took a penalty on the play. I just don't know how many blows a team can take and still keep going and keep driving. You would know that better than I.
Well, a coach would be thinking, and I hope the players the same. Hey, we hit a big play right here to Elfin. We can do exactly the same play. All we have to do is keep executing and eliminate the stupid errors.
Stampeders from there, 46, leading 23-11 with a 1st and 10. Rick Warman throws, and it's no good. Larry Willis, a diving attempt at the 49, but couldn't squeeze it.
2nd down. Turn to page C.
Getting to Rick Warman, Lloyd Lewis got a shot at him just after the ball was thrown there. I think that could be one of the keys. That front four has to continue to put pressure. They've got problems with injuries, but this is when your veterans, the Marshalls, the Lewises, and the Bourgeois have to rise to the occasion. Sounds kind of corny, but that's what has to happen for Fred Glick and his team to get back into this football game.
Again, Woodson and Emery, 2 of the starting linebackers for Ottawa, left the game in the first half. They're not in there. 2nd and 10, Stamps from there, 46. Warman looked like he was going to throw, pulled it down. Now he's scrambling around. He's to the 50. He gets away across center field and will be very close to a Calgary 1st down. As a matter of fact, I think he has it.
Warman carries. Very close to 1st down yardage.
Kent Warnick, they're examining the left eye. Been some scrapping going on out there, I'm sure.
That was quite a run by Rick Warman.
Oh, it was a great run. You know, they contain him here. They finally closed down on him, and now he releases. He's still behind the line of scrimmage, so the defensive backs can't come up. Finally, when they get a chance, they get a shot at him, but they don't take him down. Good hustle by nose tackle Michel Bourgeois to come all the way across the field and finally knock him to the ground.
1st down, Calgary.
Well, if you're a defensive player, Patrick Wayne and Will Lewis both had a shot at Rick Warman, who isn't exactly the most nimble quarterback, although he showed good running ability that time. But they have to feel like he shouldn't have got away on it.
No, yeah, they have to come up. You're right with those plays and make those tackles.
1st and 10, Stamps, Ottawa 54. Warman the toss to Tolbert out of that T formation, and he's tripped up way back there by Cliff Hewitt, who penetrated very quickly. The Stamps will lose 7 yards on that play.
Big plays by the defense. Cliff Hewitt and Hassan Abubakar. They destroy the play early because they get up. Nothing gets a chance to form. They knock the blockers off. Gary Allen and McVeigh don't get even an opportunity to see the defense. Therefore, Tolbert has no place to run.
Stampeders will be left with a 2nd down and 17 from their 49. They're in front 23-11. 10.5 minutes left in the 3rd quarter. Warman with pressure. This is a screen. Gary Allen to the Ottawa 41, and that's a Calgary 1st down.
Good play selection by Rick Warman. Whether it was sent in or not, it was executed awfully well. You know Ottawa's going to come after you. They feel they've got him back. All that rush, now they drop it over the heads of the defensive lineman to Gary Allen. Now he does his thing.
Bob Poley gets a little piece of Patrick Wayne, just enough to send him off course and create the opening for the last 7 or 8 yards, and the Stampeder 1st down at the Ottawa 41-yard line. That's Tony Pearson, 35, in motion right. You see that T formation again. Warman fakes, now throws, and it's batted away by Greg Marshall. And if that ball's thrown a little bit lower, Marshall's got himself an interception.
Oh, he knows he would have been in the end zone. There's a play action up in the middle of the offensive area. Marshall has nothing to do with it.
Greg Marshall.
This is where being a veteran, reading your keys and understanding what they're trying to do, having watched the film, he didn't bite on that play action fake, and Warman did a good job of making the fake, putting the ball on the hip.
I'm surprised Warman threw it because he surely must have seen Greg Marshall trailing over there with Tolbert. 2nd and 10, Stamps at the Ottawa 41. Warman over the middle, and it's almost intercepted. It should have been intercepted by Tommy Williams. He won't get an easier one than that, but he could not squeeze the football.
Well, Tommy Williams, you're right, could have had his 3rd interception of the year. He's playing off. He's in man coverage. He's giving Willis the inside. Now he's going to trail and watch the quarterback. He jumps as soon as the ball's thrown, makes a good play, comes underneath, but he's too worried about where he's going with the ball instead of catching it.
That's Eric Emery, one of the linebackers, out of the game for Ottawa. We won't see him back, an ankle problem. Eric Emery's 24th birthday, not exactly the way you'd want to celebrate. J.T. Hay is going to try a 48-yard field goal. And he makes it. J.T. Hay from 48 yards out. The Stampeders go ahead 26-11 with 8:57 left in the third quarter.
Cheerleader, he's wearing, or he's in his civvies, with the brown hat on.
Eric Emery also out. Marv Alamang, the starting Ottawa center, was hurt in the first half. He won't be back, as the Riders have a 1st and 10 at their 35, and somebody jumped offside. Ken Lazarick, the head referee.
Offside, Calgary number 78.
Vince Goldsmith offside for the Calgary Stampeders. Marv Alamang,
Offside Stampeders.
33-year-old, 13-year CFL veteran center who came to Ottawa in the equalization draft during the winter from the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Well, the one thing the Riders couldn't afford tonight was injuries, because they don't have great depth, especially at linebacker, and that's exactly what has happened to them. Pow throwing it, it's no good. Intended for Sean Faulkner down at the Calgary 40-yard line. Don't know if the defender got a hand in there or not. Faulkner not pleased with himself.
Pow continuing to go with the short drop, but he gets Faulkner in a one-on-one situation with Lamont Jeffers, the linebacker. The quickness should go to Faulkner. He's there. He could have made the catch.
Well, that was what you'd call a drop pass. Faulkner. I'll tell you what, when you're struggling and spinning your wheels the way Ottawa is, you got to make those plays. You have to make those plays. Pow throws on 2nd and 5. It's tipped, and it falls no good up at the 50-yard line. And Joe Pow really got rocked on that play. He's gone all the way at quarterback for Ottawa.
Third down.
Todd Dillon waiting if he's needed, charting some plays.
Well, Pow, a little bit of a rollout there, is pursued by all of Calgary's front four, but Eugene Belleville gets in, number 84 right here. Ball's delivered. It's taken to the ground, I would say, with a great deal of force.
3rd and 5. It's a fake by the Riders. Jim Reed carrying. He's got the first down to 50. He's up to the 52-yard line of the Ottawa Rough Riders. Jim Reed carrying on the fake. And the Riders get a first down.
Well, Joe Pow still showing the effects of that hit from Eugene Belleville, but perfect timing for a fake punt. And when you figure they had a 1st and 5 and they wasted 2 plays, maybe they should have run the ball in the first place.
So Ottawa trailing by 15 points. Catch the Stampeders off guard. You thought maybe Calgary would have been looking for that. And they keep the football. Joe Pow goes back in, swings it out to Faulkner, who this time makes a good catch and gets up to the 54 for a gain of a yard or 2, and that'll be all. Faulkner, who dropped a pass earlier, reaches back to make a good grab on one that time.
He did reach back and made a good catch, but he gets upfield. He's coming back in where all the pursuit's coming from. You think he'd try to make that one move and then try to split a defensive back and get to the outside.
Cedric Minner, if you're wondering, is still with the Ottawa Rough Riders. He's on their practice roster, and Fred Wood told us still figures in their plans. But Sean Faulkner has gotten his chance in the last couple of games. 2nd down and 9, Ottawa from the Rider 54. Pow going long for Mark Lewis. No good. Down at the 15 of the Stamps. Good coverage by rookie corner David McCrary.
Pow trying to lay it over the shoulder of the defensive back, but as they went downfield, both Lewis and McCrary were running out of field. Just good defensive play by McCrary.
6:24 left in the third quarter. Stampeders leading 26-11. Gary Allen back along with Richie Hall to await Ken Clark's punt on 3rd down and 9 from the Ottawa 54-yard line. Short punt by Clark. Caught by the short Richie Hall, who's got a nice return. Brought down by Ken Clark at the 41-yard line of the Ottawa Rough Riders. 6:04 remaining, third quarter.
This Canada of ours gets it all.
Stampeders leading by 15 points, and they're in good position at the Ottawa 41 after a 51-yard punt return by Richie Hall. Gary Allen on a sloppy-looking play will pick up 4 or 5 yards. Ken Clark-Neal on that punt return was very disturbed with himself, the Ottawa punter, because he hit a low, short kick that was imminently returnable, and it was returned very well by Richie Hall.
Well, even though it's a short kick, and it wasn't that bad of a kick, the coverage wasn't very good. The Ottawa Rough Riders aren't covering in lanes. They're sort of going down in a group and trying to pick their way.
Stampeders 2nd and 5 is whistled down. It's a handoff to Andy McVeigh, and there's a scrap going on out there. Boy, I tell you, they were throwing them. Cliff Hewitt, Patrick Wayne, there's Bob Poley and Wayne. Poley takes a swing at Patrick Wayne, and flags are all over the place, and Patrick Wayne can't afford to get thrown out of this game because Ottawa's already lost 2 linebackers to injury.
Well, if he doesn't get thrown out, I'll be surprised, because the reason Bob Poley's so upset, I don't think Poley minds mixing it up a bit. When somebody starts kicking you, it's a different story.
Well, the officials will have a meeting to get to the bottom of this. Patrick Wayne, the rookie linebacker, playing in the middle tonight. He's a young man of immense potential. The Ottawa Rough Riders are extremely high on Patrick Wayne, who comes from the Richmond Junior Raiders. Also played at Simon Fraser, 23 years of age. One of their draft picks this year. And they really think he's going to be good, but it looks like he might be leaving the football game.
Well, Fred Glick had mentioned he's got lots of spunk. He was fighting in training camp this year. He's a pretty good load, 6'4", 230 pounds. But you've got to pick your times and throw the particular punches, and I think he went a little bit too far.
I think we can all understand the frustration Ottawa would be feeling, trailing by 15 points. Patrick Wayne has been tossed out.
Time count foul, number 17 Calgary. Disqualification, Ottawa number 35. We have a 20-yard penalty applied against Ottawa.
So Patrick Wayne has cost his football team. He's been thrown out of the game, and he'll also cost them 20 yards in difference in penalties. 5-yard, the time count violation against Calgary, and then the disqualification against Ottawa, and they'll take the football way down to the Ottawa 16-yard line.
Things go from bad to worse for Fred Glick and the Riders. Not only are they penalized and they're in their own end again, but they're it wasn't injury this time, it was ejection. They lose another player.
You know, if that was a veteran player, Neil, it would be totally unforgivable to be thrown out with 2 other players in that position injured. I guess with a rookie, a high-spirited rookie, maybe you can accept it a little bit easier, but still, as Robert Weir is in trouble on the field, I'm not sure how Fred Glick will deal with Patrick Wayne on this one. What would you do?
Bob, it is so difficult to try to evaluate what has gone on and the pressure that's on Fred Glick and the rest of his players, the frustration that has built up. I don't know how you deal with it. I think you get through this game, you try to salvage a win. They are behind by 15 points, but you know, we've seen lots of great comebacks this year. Lots of good football still can be played in this game by the Ottawa Rough Riders.
But is it too easy to just say, well, Patrick Wayne's a kid, and that type of thing is going to happen to rookies? Is that too easy, or do you have to say?
Well, I think those types of things happen to veterans, too. It's just everyone's got a fuse, and some go a little bit quicker than others. And something in that situation set it off, and he responded, and then he got pushed by Poley.
Well, poise, maturity, those things come with playing time. Patrick Wayne hasn't had much, and he showed that by getting tossed out of this game. 5:14 left in the third quarter as they celebrate at McMahon. The Stampeders leading 26-11 and knocking on the door for more. Gorman in the end zone, no good. And there's a flag on the play. Allen, the intended receiver, Shane Ireland, was running with him. Play came down late, and we'll let Ken Lazarick tell us what it is. Well, what a patchwork defense the Ottawa Rough Riders have to go with now, with Woodson, Emery, and Wayne, linebackers, all hurt.
There's no flag in the play. The ball was uncatchable. Second out.
I said all hurt. Patrick Wayne, of course, isn't hurt. He hurt the Riders by getting thrown out.
It's good to see that wasn't interference, because I thought he played him fairly close to the vest. It was a good call to reverse the call. Do you know what I mean?
I got your drift. So it will be 2nd and 10, Stampeders. Ottawa 16. Touchdown, Emmanuel Tolbert on a pass from Rick Warman, but there is a penalty flag at the line of scrimmage.
Holding, number 57, Calgary.
Bob Poley, the center, will wipe out the touchdown with a holding penalty.
Well, they get another shot at it. He's one-on-one with a man on his nose, Robert Weir. See that right hand on the shoulder, but I think it's the left hand as Weir slid to the left side of Poley, pulled him down.
So they have Robert Weir playing the nose now, the Ottawa Rough Riders. Marshall, Arbubakar, and Bourgeau up front. And a makeshift linebacking core. They also have Lloyd Lewis at the game. They have 5 down linemen. As Warman throws in the end zone, Tolbert's all alone and he can't catch the football. Emmanuel Tolbert was all alone and Warman just overthrew him.
Warman on the ground after he threw that football. I'm sure after he released it and saw Tolbert just going up the seam uncovered that was a catch. He gets knocked down by Lewis. Susie lets the ball go. I'm sure he was just waiting for the crowd to get on their feet and cheer. Wasn't to be.
J.T. Hay will try a 33-yard field goal. Glenn Harper holding. Perfect night so far for J.T. Very little wind here at McMahon, and Hay's field goal is pulled to the left. It'll go through for a single point, and the Stampeders will go up by 27-11. And with the score, Calgary 27 and Ottawa 11. Let's pause 10 seconds for stations from coast to coast to identify themselves. You're watching the Canadian Football Network. Lewis at the 17 or 18-yard line of Calgary. Another Ottawa first down.
Well, to the short side of the field, they're running their fullback to the flat. Lewis is the middleman. He'll go down and find that area, stop up, and come right back to the football. One man goes deep, so they're trying to spread that defense back in the short side of the field. With that fullback going to the flat, that opens Lewis up to come back to the football.
Mark Lewis and Troy Smith, the wide receivers tonight. Smith replacing James Hood, who was cut earlier this week after 2 or 3 games of very indifferent and disappointing play for Ottawa. And Joe Paopao is sacked. Lamont Jeffers gets him back at the 27-yard line for a loss of 9 yards.
Once again, Jeffers blitzing from the short side of the weak side of the field. Paopao is taking a short drop. He's looking. He wants to get rid of that ball now. But he doesn't get the opportunity. Good job of coverage.
So the minute 20 left in the third quarter, and Calgary leading by 27-11. The Ottawa Rough Riders don't want to let this scoring chance pass. And they face a difficult situation. Second and long. 19 to go at the Calgary 27. Paopao back the other way, has a man open at the 5-yard line. Touchdown, Troy Smith. All the flow was to the left, and Paopao turned and threw it back to the right and finds Troy Smith for a touchdown.
Fred Glick's question could be answered right here, wondering if Smith is not only just a good practice player, but can he play in the games? Everything, as they've done in the last few plays, motion and everything goes left, and he throws back to the wide side of the field. Smith gets open and takes it in.
Good throw by Paopao. It almost looked like McCrary went for all that motion to the left.
Well, you get influence with when all that flow keeps going to the short side. Paopao and the Riders have been working to the short side, then turn, and even the quarterback goes that way, and then he snaps his body around and throws to the wide side of the field. Smith does a good job.
There's a 27-yard Joe Paopao touchdown pass to Troy Smith. That, by the way, is the 100th touchdown pass of Joe Paopao's CFL career.
When you're in the backside of the play, sometimes you can relax a little bit, and maybe McCrary fell into that zone of just feeling comfortable. Just a quick look in. The back is turned. McCrary's back gets turned around. That's when he gets beaten, because he's falling back to the inside.
As I said, the 100th touchdown pass in the career of Joe Paopao, the Honolulu, Hawaii native who went to Long Beach State. Now in his 10th CFL season. Dean Dorsey converts that Troy Smith touchdown. And the Ottawa Rough Riders are right back there. They're down by 9, 27-18 with a minute 3 left in the third quarter.
Speaking with Joe Paopao after last week's game against the Lions, he didn't dress. Brad Taylor backed up Dylan. Paopao, with obviously no malice towards the quarterback, says, if I get an opportunity to get in there, I know I can do something. He's still got a great deal of confidence in his ability, and I guess the coaches do too. Pal Sartori, Fred Glick believes he can get in there and be the leader for this team in a very tough time for them.
6-play, 75-yard drive that Paopao took the Ottawa Rough Riders on. You know, it's interesting how the views of the coaches will change from week to week. Neil, last week, Fred Glick told us that they wanted to play Brad Taylor to find out what he could do in a game situation, because they knew what Joe Paopao could do. Everybody knew that he was the steady veteran. This week, they feel they need Paopao in uniform because they know what he can do.
Well, you have to go with the flow, and unfortunately Brad Taylor didn't, I don't think, got a really good opportunity to show what he could do, literally being bombarded by the BC defense, as so many quarterbacks have found out this year.
Oh, it's unfair to judge Brad Taylor on last week's performance. And Joe Paopao has come through well tonight. Bernie Morrison scoops up that bouncing kickoff and brings it back to the Calgary 42 or 43-yard line. People that work under Fred Glick, the Ottawa Rough Rider coaching staff.
Ken Hussey, the special teams coach from Toronto.
Please go to the Stampeders administration office immediately. Gary Gazarian.
Calgary adding Fred Bolitnikov to their staff after the changeover, with Larry Kuharek succeeding Bob Vespasiani. Stampeders first and 10 at their 43. Rick Warman hands off Gary Allen. Good hole, and he's across the 50 to the 51 or 52-yard line of the Stampeders.
No one getting an opportunity to get a clean shot on Allen. He just kind of picking his way through there like walking on mushrooms, just finding his way, picking his holes, running over some people. Good block by McVeigh, putting a guy down, allowed Allen to get a few more extra yards.
Second down and a yard. Stamps at their 52-yard line. Again, Ottawa going with 5 down linemen because of the injuries and ejections to their linebackers. And Gary Allen gets a first down for the Stamps, a gain of 3 up to center field.
It's so crucial for a halfback to have a fullback that will go into the line and make something happen. Get in the way of a defensive back or linebacker that's going to come up. And Andy McVeigh, product of the University of Toronto, is showing one of the reasons why they kept him around this year. He had a great training camp, great preseason. Now he's getting an opportunity to show why he's on this team.
That was injured Calgary quarterback Rick Johnson. Pinched nerve in his shoulder and neck area. Gary Allen on the first down toss has room. All the way to the Ottawa 20-yard line. And on that very high note for the Stampeders, the third quarter comes to an end at McMahon Stadium. Bob Irving and Neil Lumsden at McMahon Stadium in Calgary. A 34-yard run by Gary Allen ended the third quarter and put the Stampeders on the Ottawa 21-yard line as the fourth quarter begins. Calgary leading 27-18 and looking at a 1st and 10. Warman, and he's picked off down at the 5-yard line. Jerome Erdman has some room and gets caught up in traffic at about the 33-yard line. So the Ottawa Rough Riders, with all sorts of injuries, their decimated defensive unit, are able to stop the Calgary drive.
Erdman is up in the line of scrimmage before the snap of the ball. Then he retreats and drops back into the zone area. Picks the ball off. It was thrown up for grabs. He got it. He might have been better to stay to the outside because it looked like they might have had a wall for him, but an important interception by Jerome Erdman.
This guy's got him, man. 29.
That should give the Rough Riders a big lift. They force the turnover and get the ball back at their 33-yard line. Pow swings it out, and it's dropped. Larry Moore at the 35-yard line. Well, he'd have been able to turn upfield and get another 5 yards at least, but he couldn't catch the football, and that's the second flat-out drop that Pow-Pow's had go against him in the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Well, that's the thing that the veteran quarterback might give you, not trying to force the ball downfield, throwing it to the running back in the flat. He can get your first down just as quickly as anybody else.
2nd and 10, Ottawa Rough Riders at their 33-yard line as their defensive unit, their patchwork defensive unit. Get some help. Here's a blitz. Richie Hall, and it's a center screen. It's caught. There's a flag. Faulkner close to a first down. There's a flag on the play. There may have been a late hit on Joe Pow-Pow. Faulkner's a gain of 9 or 10.
Necessary roughing the passer, number 27, Calgary.
You said Richie Hall came in a blitz. He's going full out, going after Joe Pow-Pow. Good thing they had a screen set up because Pow-Pow had the opportunity of getting rid of the ball. And his choice, you see Green coming in. That's what leaves Faulkner open. Green blitzes, no one to cover him.
Well, Richie Hall had pretty well committed himself. He was all right on Joe Pow-Pow when Pow-Pow let that ball go. The penalty moves the football down to the Calgary 51-yard line. 1st and 10, Ottawa. They trail 27-18. 13 minutes, 40 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Pow-Pow, quick pass behind the intended receiver, Rick Wilkinsburg. Fred Glick having things going a little bit better for him now than they were at one stage in the third quarter. Patrick Wayne got tossed out of the football game to join linebackers Anthony Woodson and Eric Emery on the sidelines, both of whom were injured in the first half.
Well, it's really up to the offense now to keep that patchwork defense off the field.
2nd and 10, Calgary 51. Pow-Pow over the middle. And it's no good. Down at the 37-yard line, Alpin, the intended receiver. He was tightly covered and couldn't grab the ball.
Richie Hall defending. Third down.
Well, now they're going to have to rely on a good kick by Ken Clark. Send Calgary deep in their end zone, or in their zone, hopefully not in the end zone. And then let their defense come up with some big plays. Maybe Erdman, another few defensive backs. They are due for some interceptions. They haven't had a lot this year.
3rd and 10, Riders at the Calgary 51. Clark, good kick. Richie Hall, he'll let it go into the end zone and give Ottawa a single point. And that'll give Calgary the ball out at their 35-yard line. 13:02 left in the fourth quarter. Stamps in front. 1,483 in attendance. The Stampeders, after a 66-yard single by Ken Clark, have a 1st and 10 at their 35-yard line. Gary Allen carrying. Will have 3 or 4 off the right side. Robert Weir and Cliff Hewitt in on the stop. Lloyd Lewis was there too.
With the 5 down linemen that Ottawa's playing with and the 2 linebackers, they might be able to put a little bit more pressure on the quarterback and not gamble as much in blitzing. I'm sure that Fred Glick would like to think these front 5 would have enough pressure on to force him to throw the ball early.
2nd and 6 passing situation for the Stamps at their 39. Warman sprints right and throws, and it's complete at the 50. No, they rolled him out of bounds. Emmanuel Tolbert came down with the ball, but there was a flag. And it's holding against the Stampeders. I would guess Ottawa would decline that and lead Calgary with a 3rd and 6.
Holding. Calgary number 61. Decline. 3rd down.
So the Ottawa defense gets the ball back for its offense. You know, if Ottawa's defensive team, they can keep doing this, keeping Calgary from scoring with 3 starting linebackers out, they're to be applauded for that. Because that's a crippling situation. Running up to catch this short kick was Will Lewis. He's at the 46-yard line of Ottawa, and there's a flag, a no yards flag, I would imagine, that will move the ball into Calgary territory. 30-yard punt by Glenn Harper.
No yards. Calgary number 37.
A heads-up play by Lewis, recognizing the kick's not going to travel as far as he's set up. Moves up quickly, makes the catch, and forces them, Calgary, into a no yards.
And Ken Lazaruk, the head referee, spots the ball right at center field. So with 12 minutes exactly remaining in the 4th quarter, and Calgary leading 27-19, the Ottawa Rough Riders are 1st and 10 at center field. Mark Lewis wide right, Troy Smith to the left. Pow sprinting left. Harold Hallman has him back at the 40-yard line.
Brought down by Harold Hallman.
On the sprint out, you've got to be able to cut off the defensive linemen. Those offensive linemen have to step and position themselves. Harold Hallman, in his quickness, is able to get in front of Nick Benjamin and cut off the sprint out and sack Pow.
Benjamin did some interesting work here a couple of years ago. Why don't you tell us about it?
Very interesting work. In the off-season, he happened to be in town when the Michael Jackson Victory Tour came through, and he was hired as a bodyguard for 3 stops on the tour.
And pointed out that Jackson is an interesting fellow. Pow throwing. It's tipped and intercepted. McCrary. David McCrary. And he's out of bounds at the 34-yard line of the Ottawa Rough Riders.
McCrary reacting to a ball that's underthrown. One of the few times we see Pow going straight back. He looks left and then fires right. He's throwing right into double coverage with McCrary and Larry Hogue on the coverage. Ball's popped and then brought down by McCrary and brought back upfield.
3rd interception of the season for rookie David McCrary from the University of Tennessee in Chattanooga. Stampeders. Warman fakes and throws. Complete. Tolbert at the 20, to the 15, to the 10. Tolbert. Touchdown. What a job Tolbert did of staying in bounds. 33 yards.
I'll tell you, I think what he's trying to do is he goes towards the sidelines here. A good play action fake. Holds the linebackers. He looks like he's almost going to casually go out of bounds and then just pops up the sidelines. That just taking a second to fake like you're going out of bounds. The defensive backs relax for that 1 second. He's able to get in the end zone.
Rick Warman's 2nd touchdown pass of the game to Emmanuel Tolbert. And they faked the convert. Or was it a Harper unable to handle the snap? He throws in the end zone and gets the 2-point convert. Lamont Jeffers with the football. And the Calgary Stampeders add a 2-point convert. They go ahead by 36. Make it 35-19. 35-19 with 10:35 left in the 4th quarter. Well, when this game began, or earlier this afternoon, just before the game started, it was 21 degrees Celsius at McMahon Stadium. It has dropped 8 degrees to 13, and they're talking about frost tonight here in Calgary. So it has cooled off mightily as Troy Smith turns to the outside and finds some room on this kickoff return up to the 45 of Ottawa. 10.5 minutes left, fourth quarter. Rick Warman has just thrown a 33-yard touchdown pass to Emmanuel Tolbert and a 2-point convert for the Stampeders, giving them a 16-point lead. Tolbert's had quite a night, Neil.
He certainly has. He's been a big part of the offense. The diversified offense, we can call it. Emmanuel Tolbert coming out of the backfield, both as a running back and then going in motion as a receiver.
4 catches for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns for the man they call E.T., Emmanuel Tolbert. Pow on first down throws, has a man open, Mark Lewis at the 50 of Calgary. That's where he steps out of bounds. 15-yard gain and a first down for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
The Riders will try to stretch the defense of the Stampeders if they're going to play zone. Make those areas that they're going to leave open to us as big as you possibly can. See Alphen in the middle and Lewis on the outside. There are some big gaps when you play the zone. Those are the areas that Tom Clements took advantage of last week against these same Calgary Stampeders.
Lewis comes wide right this time. Troy Smith to the left, 1st and 10. Ottawa, Calgary 50. Pow throws, has Lewis all alone, and he's down to the 40-yard line. McCrary makes the stop. Mark Lewis close to another Ottawa first down.
Well, you certainly can't question Mark Lewis's courage. He'll catch the ball on the outside. He comes into traffic. Coming in motion down here, that's a 2-yard pass. Nick Benjamin slants in front of him. He will release right after the ball snap to try to make a block. McCrary comes up the field. Boy, they do some knocking inside, and Lewis deserves a lot of credit.
Well, he's 5'9", 165, Neil. He can feel those hits, I'm sure. What a night he's having. Pow on first down, has pressure, throws the ball away with Harold Holman draped all over him, and Jim Reed was down there around the 40-yard line. So Ken Lazarick doesn't flag Pow for grounding.
Like you said, Jim Reed comes across the formation a little bit late. He wants to throw that ball earlier, but for a big man, he can squeeze through a small area, can't he? That's the Harold Holman cape.
That's the Harold Holman tonight that we saw last year make 19 sacks. Win a claim across the CFL. 2nd down and 10, Ottawa from the Calgary 40. 9 minutes left, fourth quarter. Stamps in front, 35-19. Pow over the middle, completes it down to the 28-yard line. Gerald Alphen on the receiving end. That's an Ottawa first down.
In most cases tonight, they have been successful in a one-on-one situation, sending Alphen down on Hogue. A physical difference. Alphen is a little bit more dominant, but he's helping out Pow by going downfield, getting some separation from the defensive back, then coming back and making a catch.
Has Calgary softened up their defense in this stride because they have the lead or not?
I don't think so. They just played that last defense in man, and that's a pretty aggressive way to go after it.
1st and 10 from the 27. Pow throws, and it's intercepted at the 15-yard line. Larry Hogue knocked out of bounds by Nick Benjamin, and the running back Sean Faulkner. That turnover may just do it for the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Pow's trying to force the ball in there. He's got a receiver underneath that's open, but Hogue's helping out McCrary. McCrary's in man coverage with Lewis. Hogue drops off underneath the coverage, just gets the ball thrown to him.
Following tonight's game, we'll be selecting the Canada Lease MVP. Canada Lease, a public company providing leadership in the world of high technology and capital equipment leasing. Canada Lease makes your money work better for you. Rick Warman hands to Gary Allen on first down, and he has close to 10 yards.
Gary Allen.
Larry Kuharich, Neil, was one of the things he said today was that his big play people, Tolbert, Johnson, Gary Allen, have to play big, and 2 of those people, Tolbert and Allen, much to the dismay of Fred Glick, have played big tonight.
Well, Kuharich has some people that can scare other teams on offense and defense. Fred Glick told us today, we don't have anybody on offense that can scare a defense by going deep. And defensively, we don't have the dominant individual like a Tyrone Jones, a Danny Kepley when he played. That's what they're looking for. That's what they're missing.
Larry Hogue picked off that Joe Pow pass. That was his first interception of the season. Killing an Ottawa drive and preserving the Stampeders' 16-point lead at 35-19. They measured, and it's first down, Calgary. Gary Allen on the toss, and he gets 3 or 4. Shane Ireland made the stop at the 45 of Calgary.
Calgary offense is trying to stretch out that tattered Ottawa defense, making them like they're going wide. Marshall's forcing to the outside. That's when you need the linebackers to be able to come upfield and make hits on those running backs, as Ireland did on Allen there when they get upfield.
Gary Allen hasn't had very many games this season like the one he's having tonight. He came into this game with 427 yards rushing on the year. And he's closing in on 100. Second down and 7. Warman puts it up long for Tolbert down at the 30, and he makes the catch.
In normal situations, possibly having Jerome Erdman at safety might have hurt here, because Calvin Lovell's in a one-on-one situation. Tolbert gets inside. You see Erdman coming over just a little bit too late. Not necessarily Erdman's fault, because this is his first game at safety. But that puts Lovell in a tough situation when the receiver can get inside like that. Warman just throws the ball downfield.
Gary Allen on first down gets 2 or 3 yards down near the 23-yard line. Tim Petros, we would normally see in there at fullback, blocking for Gary Allen, but he's injured.
Not only blocking, but being a very effective runner this year. They've utilized his talents. His best game again against the BC Lions a few weeks ago. 154 yards rushing. He's had an outstanding year.
And the word on Petros is stretched knee ligaments, so he will be out for a while. Rick Warman done quite a job in relief of Rick Johnson. Warman won't get this one off. Dropped back at the 25-yard line. Lloyd Lewis and Robert Weir, with Hassan Abu-Bakr putting the finishing touches on that sack.
Robert Weir, a graduate of SMU, never played football. He was a track and field is involved in track and field through the hammer.
Born in Birmingham, England, Robert Weir. As Warman pumped a couple of times, couldn't find anybody, and wound up eating the football. J.T. Hay will attempt a 32-yard field goal with Glenn Harper holding. Lots of distance, and he's accurate. And the Stampeders move in front 38-19 with 5:09 left in the fourth quarter. Stampeders came back from a 37-11 deficit in Ottawa back in August to beat the Rough Riders 39-38 with 4 fourth quarter touchdowns. Ottawa has only 5:09 left here at McMahon to erase that rather substantial deficit they face. Sean Faulkner with the kickoff gets it back to the 39, a 17-yard return. And 5:04 is the time left now. J.T. Hay with a 32-yard field goal at 9:51 of the fourth quarter, expanding Calgary's lead to 38-19. Stampeders with a win tonight would go to 5-7 and move within 4 points of BC and Edmonton in the West Division. And Ottawa would drop to 2-9 if the game ends with the Stamps in front. Their 8th loss in a row. Faulkner on a draw has some good room up to the 50 to the 51. A gain of 12 and a first down for Ottawa.
The Riders have put Jim Reed back at fullback and have moved rookie Dave Taylor from Western Ontario at the tight end spot, number 88. A delayed draw, fullbacks leading up the middle. Jim Reed gets the block, and the offensive linemen all get their helmet on somebody. And when that happens, there's some room to run.
Richie Hall and Bernie Morrison finally tripping him up. Pow throws on first down, tipped, intended for Troy Smith, and Ron Hopkins got a piece of it. Knocked the ball out of bounds. 4:21 to go.
Troy Smith, the intended receiver.
You know, we talked to Fred Glick as we look at Rick Johnson, who was injured in the first half, hurt his shoulder. We think it's a pinched nerve.
CFR Calgary Hero Family Fund.
Ottawa, going into this game, still had 8 left. So they feel that they still have a shot at the playoffs, but they had to win tonight. They're 7 points behind Toronto. A win tonight gets them within 5, and they have a couple of games left of the Argos. But their playoff hopes are taking a pounding tonight. Pow throwing. And it's no good. Intended for Mark Lewis down at the Calgary 50, and it comes up a little bit short.
Intended for Lewis. Third down.
Well, the Stampeders have got Kent Warnock, their #1 draft last year in the college draft, into the game the last quarter. He's had a good game, good second halves, playing with a broken hand. He's been part of that pressure that's been on Joe Pow. He's a load at 6'7", 270 pounds.
And Larry Kuharek expects Warnock to play himself into a starting position by next season. Our cameras will follow Warnock on this play. We'll come back and show you as Ottawa gambles on third down. And sacked is Joe Pow, and they'll turn the ball over. Vince Goldsmith sacks Pow and forces a turnover.
Pressure from the outside. They said before the game, if they can make Joe Pow leave the comfort zone of that pocket, they can sack him. And this is what happens. They force him out early. Goldsmith moves up. Kent Warnock maybe short on a few skills as far as pass moves. Kevin Powell just sort of plays catch right here, but he keeps pushing Powell back. Larry Kuharek says Warnock's got that mean streak that you don't find in a lot of big men. He's a little crazy too.
He is not a placid individual on the football field. He is a nasty hombre. I don't mean to suggest that. Now, don't take that wrong, folks. I mean, he's got that mean streak. That's exactly what you're saying.
Well, sure. There are a lot of football players, and most do, like the contact, like to stick their head in there and knock people on their keister. But he's just maybe a little bit more so. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
And every coach in the game would like to have more of those kinds of players on his defense. Big Kent Warnock. Warman on second down. Finds Tolbert at the 27 of Ottawa. Emmanuel Tolbert's had a big night, a couple of touchdowns, and he gives Calgary another first down. 2 minutes, 52 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Ottawa Rough Riders are 2 minutes and 52 seconds away from suffering their 8th consecutive defeat, and the Calgary Stampeders that much time away from upping their record to 5-7 and winning for the 4th time in the last 5 games. Stamps first and 10, Ottawa 27. Gary Allen carrying, breaks a couple of tackles, makes a couple of nifty moves, and winds up picking up 8 or 9 yards before he's pushed out of bounds by Jerome Erdman. And that'll put Allen over 100 yards rushing on the night.
Well, it's easy for Calgary to take advantage of the running game right now when the Riders are really down to one linebacker, Shane Ireland. As you said, Cliff Hewitt has moved up to that linebacker spot, but at 6'1", 195 pounds, he's not exactly your classic linebacker size. So if they can get through that front five, Allen and McVeigh could get some yards in running.
Second down and a couple. Calgary at the Ottawa 18. Handoff, McVeigh trying the middle. Tough yardage, but he looks like he has the first down. Into the Ottawa 16-yard line with 2.5 minutes left on the McMahon Stadium clock. Ottawa hasn't had a lot of luck against Western teams in the last couple of years. This will mark the 21st consecutive game in which they have failed to beat a Western team. 1 tie, 20 losses. This season, their record against the West will drop to 0-7, and their road record will drop to 0-6. Rick Warman in the end zone, and it's knocked away, intended for Woodruff. And Rod Brown got a hand in there at the last minute to tip it away.
Warman not shying away from putting it in the end zone and trying to get some more points. But you have to feel for that Ottawa Rough Rider defense. They've done everything they possibly could with the numbers and the players that are left on the bench. It's been a tough season for them, and things just don't look like they're going to get any better with injuries to Eric Emery, Anthony Woodson.
Patrick Wayne being tossed out. Marv Alamang hurt in the first half. You can't lose front liners like that and not suffer. Draw play. McVeigh fumbles, picks it up at the 10-yard line of Ottawa, and will come out of it with a gain of 5 or 6 yards. Jerome Erdman up there to fall on McVeigh.
Well, if you're going to fumble it as a running back, you might as well fumble it and fumble it forward, then fall on it. It looks better for your average. He knew he wasn't going to make the first down, so he threw it ahead and then just jumped on it.
Trapped it between his legs. 2:07 left. Little unrest among the McMahon Stadium crowd. They would like to see the Stampeders gamble on 3rd and 4, but Larry Kuharek has sent out his field goal team. J.T. Hay. They'll try from the 17-yard line with Harper holding. The kick is up and it's good. And that makes it 41 to 19 for the Calgary Stampeders.
General manager on the left, Paul Robson of the Ottawa Rough Riders, and offensive coordinator, Pal Sartori.
Sartori with the headphones. Robson just finished off his soft drink. Fred Glick, head coach of the Ottawa Rough Riders, has seen some good things tonight. The team has hustled and played hard. Joe Pau has done some good things offensively, but turnovers have hurt them. Injuries, the ejection of linebacker Patrick Wayne has hurt them. And you add them all up. Sacks have hurt them. Here's another one by Calgary. You add them all up. Harold Holman with another sack. And you have Calgary in front by 41 to 19. The man in the red sweater is Vern Siemens, who took over as general manager of Calgary when Earl Lunsford was fired.
And Larry Kuharek's defensive line can really pin their ears back and go after the quarterback because they know Pau is going to be throwing the football. It's sack time for the defensive lineman.
Pau sprinting left, throws down the sideline. It's caught but out of bounds as Mark Lewis up at the Ottawa 45-yard line. That'll force the Rough Riders into a 3rd down and 18 at their 27, and Fred Glick will send out Ken Clark to punt the football away.
We talked to Larry Kuharek this morning before the football game, just talking about coaching in general. He has some very strong feelings about how he wants to be a coach, and of course his dad, Joe Kuharek, coached at Notre Dame and in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles, and said, what did you learn from your father? He just said one big thing, that coaching is a very honorable business. That's why I'm in it.
Kuharek's first pro job was with Hamilton in 1976. He then went back to the States and came back to Canada last year with the Stampeders. Gary Allen with Ken Clark's punt. And he's up to the 49 or 50-yard line. And we have 1:13 left in the 4th quarter. 41-yard punt's been a big night for Gary Allen. More than 100 yards rushing. Emmanuel Tolbert has caught a couple of touchdown passes and gone over 100 yards in receiving. So the Stampeders have received some big nights from the people they count on to give them big nights. And that's one of the reasons why they're up 41 to 19.
I think that some good things. They've responded well after they lost to Winnipeg last week. I think they've produced, and there's Darcy Kopp, who is normally a defensive back, is sticking his hand at the quarterback spot right now.
Now, I don't know if Kopp works out at quarterback or not for the Stampeders. He's going to run with the ball, and he's got a gain of about 10 yards to the 49 of the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Well, you know, this is a pretty good move. Everyone has to have someone on the roster who can be the 3rd string quarterback. And Darcy Kopp from the University of Calgary evidently has been behind the center before. Now's the perfect time to give him some playing time at quarterback in case Rick Warman and Rick Johnson were to go down later on in the season. Darcy Kopp would at least have a feel for it. That's a good move.
Rick Warman resting after a good night's work after taking over from Rick Johnson, and Darcy Kopp will take the snap from Bob Poley again. He's going to try to throw, or is he? Hassan Arbubakar sacks him back at the 50-yard line. 1:04 left on the clock at McMahon Stadium as Darcy Kopp is into play quarterback for Calgary. I don't know. I think if I was Fred Glick, I might consider this to be rubbing it in a little bit, putting Kopp in there to play quarterback.
No, I think rubbing it in is going deep and trying to get some more points. I think this may be the only time you see a quarterback wear a full face mask like this. And
well, we're informed from the sidelines that Rick Warman did suffer a shot to his back, and they just want to make sure they're taking no chances with him. Kopp's putting it up long for Tony Woodruff, and is it picked off? Yes, at the 15-yard line. Erdman intercepts. He's across the 25 and to the 29-yard line. Jerome Erdman on that throw by Kopp, which was tipped. And Darcy Kopp threw that ball well.
I think he looked pretty good at the spot. Drops back. He says, we're not holding anything back. I may be a third-string quarterback and a defensive back, but I can still do some things. It's catchable ball.
Nothing wrong with that throw.
Dual position. Now get down there and make the tackle like you usually do. Whoop. He said, there go my stats.
Darcy Kopp having a little fun here with 36 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Calgary leading Ottawa 41-19. Pow has gone all the way. He throws, finds Troy Smith open at the 45. He steps out at the 46.
Pow completes
the Ottawa Rough Riders. Pow will go without a huddle with 29 seconds to go. Ottawa would like to finish what's been yet another long night for them with something positive, so they'll try to get into scoring range. This result, bad news for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who will fall 5 points behind Calgary in the race for third place in the West. Pow completing it.
Pow complete to Lewis.
Mark Lewis on first down. Gain of 6 or 7 up to the 52-yard line of Ottawa. 24 seconds left.
Ottawa trying to salvage something with 24 seconds. Pow in the hurry-up offense. Running out of time.
Ken Lazarick whistling that play dead, and we've got another fracas breaking out here. Patrick Wayne, a linebacker for Ottawa, was thrown out of the game in the third quarter after a scuffle with Bob Poley, Calgary center. Poley was not ejected.
There was some talk after the last game in Winnipeg that the Stampeders didn't rally and didn't show the guts that they needed to. They were intimidated, especially when James Wild West came through offside and put Rick Johnson down a little bit more aggressively than a lot of people felt he should have. It's the way he wanted to do it, and that's fine, but no one responded to help out Johnson, and that bothered Larry Kaharick. He feels they should have rallied around him. Help out your quarterback, protect him at all times.
Ken Lazarick just went to the sidelines to tell them not to play any of the music that they play at McMahon Stadium during the breaks while the play is going on, or at least while Ottawa was coming out over the football. Troy Smith catching a pass from Joe Pow on second down and giving Ottawa a first down with 17 seconds left. Football at the Calgary 46-yard line. Stamps in front, 41-19. On the verge of winning their fourth and the last 5. Pow over the middle finds David Taylor. And he's wrapped up very quickly at the Calgary 42 or 43. The clock now down to 6 seconds. Matt Finley, one of the tacklers. And once again, we have pushing and shoving. .38 for Calgary's Bruce Green. He's obviously upset about something. Another long night for the Ottawa Rough Riders, who will see their record drop to 2-9. They were 2-0 last year and lost 8 in a row. They were 2-1 this year. And there's no way in the world anybody would have thought they'd lose 8 games in a row.
They're going to have to lose their opener next year.
Pow on what could be the final play of the game. Throws long down the right sidelines. McCrary tips it away. Intended for Mark Lewis, and that play will end the football game. Ottawa looked good for the first quarter and a half, but then a late first half explosion by Calgary got the Stampeders going, and they rolled to a 41-19 win over Fred Glick and the Ottawa Rough Riders. Rick Warman among the stars, relieving injured Rick Johnson and throwing a couple of touchdown passes to Emmanuel Tolbert as Larry Kaharick and Fred Glick shake hands.